the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 601. The storm is coming too. Wen Jiu saw Lu Yan like this and didn't know what to say. After all, people can't be generalized, and she could see that Lu Yan paid great attention to his manners. Whether he was standing or sitting, he was like a pine tree, always standing upright. So she didn't continue to talk about this topic and just asked directly, "Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about?" She was very curious about why Lu Yan came. After all, it was almost 2 o'clock in the morning. The matter that made the other party choose to come at this time must be very important, right? But she racked her brains and couldn't think of what important things Lu Yan could have related to her. "Do you want to leave here?" Lu Yan's cold voice was like the sound of forests and springs. Such a pleasant voice should have fallen on her heart, but she showed a defensive look at this moment. "First of all, what do you mean by leaving here?" Wen Jiu half raised her eyelids and looked at Lu Yan. "Also, from what perspective are you asking this question?" Her thoughts were a little confused now, because she didn't know what Lu Yan knew, and she was still wondering if number 8 had acted on his own. If number 8 really went to the Imperial Capital Military Academy for help without her knowledge, then she felt that there was no need for her to continue her cooperation with the other party. After all, escaping from the seedling base is not a trivial matter, and she will only choose to cooperate with people who are tight-lipped and reliable. Of course, Stephanie is a small accident. She can ignore this matter because she has helped her, but number 8 has no friendship with her. To put it bluntly, they are just temporary partners. So if the other party really does something behind her back, she can't help but care. Hearing this, Lu Yan observed her expression and softened his voice and replied, "I have investigated the seedling base these days and found that there are many strange things in it. In fact, you are not students of the 3rd military region at all. You were just arrested and imprisoned here by them." After his voice fell, Wen Jiu immediately regained her calm. Although she didn't know how Lu Yan knew this, she knew that she couldn't panic at this time. So she pondered for a moment before saying, "So, what do you want to do by saying this?" "I want to take you away." Lu Yan suddenly took over her words. "I will return to the Imperial Capital Star in a few days. If you want to leave the seedling base, then it will be the best time." The more Wen Jiu listened, the more he was sure of his thoughts. Number 8 really went to the Imperial Capital Military Academy for help. What you said just now is indeed correct. I and the others were kidnapped. She sat up from the soft lazy sofa. "But I have 2 questions to ask you now. The first question is, how did you know I wanted to escape? The second question is, what are the conditions you want to negotiate with me?" She didn't think Lu Yan was the kind of kind-hearted person who would be happy to help. The other party must want to negotiate conditions when he came to her so late. Facts proved that she was right. Lu Yan made it very clear that he wanted Wen Jiu to be a witness so that it would be easier for the 1st military region to punish the 3rd military region. Although the people he brought with him had collected a lot of evidence, if they wanted to clean up the 3rd military district, they still needed to find a few more suitable witnesses to help testify. "That means the people who sent you here are waiting outside Brickstar." Wen Jiu couldn't help but start to analyze after hearing his words. "If I'm willing to leave the base with you, you can guarantee that we can all escape smoothly, right?" Because she was worried about leaving Ziqingyu and others in the base, she must take others with her. However, Lu Yan only asked her if she wanted to leave and did not mean to take others with him, so she needed to know more about the situation. In short, it was impossible for her to leave alone. Well, after lunch on the day we first arrived, the soldiers responsible for the escort withdrew from Brickstar. Fortunately, Lu Yan did not intend to hide her intentions and told her everything he could. The 1st military district did arrange a group of soldiers to escort them, but in order to avoid suspicion from the people of the 3rd military district, after the people of the Imperial Capital Military Academy were properly settled, they withdrew to the outside of Brickstar and waited for orders. These soldiers were guarding to prevent accidents and to warn the 3rd Military District not to attack the people of the Imperial Capital Military Academy. After speaking, Liu Yan seemed to want to gain Wen Jiu's trust, and added slowly, "We are only participating in the event on the surface. In fact, we are here to investigate the details of the 3rd Military District." "Oh, then how did you know I wanted to escape?" Wen Jiu didn't really care about the purpose of Liu Yan and his people, and she was not curious about how they knew the secrets of the base. After all, the grievances between the 1st Military District and the 3rd Military District have long been known to everyone. Now it is reasonable for the 1st Military District to find an opportunity to suppress the 3rd Military District. So she didn't care about these, she only cared about how Liu Yan knew that she wanted to escape, and whether she could take Kao Shishi and others with her. This question stumped Liu Yan for a moment. He thought for a moment before answering seriously. I guessed. He really didn't lie about this matter. He just deduced from the information that Wen Jiu and others were not students recruited by the 3rd Military District, but were kidnapped to Brickstar as spare experimental subjects. Since they were kidnapped here, they would naturally think of escaping. Because the 1st Military District wanted to deal with the 3rd Military District and needed witnesses, and because he still had feelings for Wen Jiu in his heart, he chose to visit late at night, thinking of testing the other party's attitude. But what he didn't expect was that Wen Jiu actually wanted to escape. It was a pure accident. But Wen Jiu always thought that Liu Yan came to visit because of number 8, but she didn't expect that the other party just wanted to test her attitude based on speculation. But she didn't know all this yet, so she didn't say anything. After listening to Liu Yan's answer, the other party could have perfunctorily dealt with her, but this was too perfunctory and too foolish. "Have you looked for other young students?" Wen Jiu was silent for a long while, but finally couldn't help but ask. At the same time, she was still muttering in her heart that she lost this time. She actually spoke first. Next time she would let Liu Yan speak first. Hearing this, the other party immediately shook his head and said, "No. If Wen Jiu was not in this weird base, he would definitely go to other students to communicate. But Wen Jiu happened to appear here. So no matter what the angle, he would give priority to the other party." Today's second update has also been delivered on time. Thank you to every little angel for your support and company. 030. Chapter 602. The moonlight is so beautiful tonight. 1. Shishi, what do you think Jiuji and Xiaobingshan will talk about upstairs? Ziqingaiu ate an apple with some boredom. They have been sitting downstairs for more than half an hour. If they continue to wait like this, it will be 3 o'clock in the morning. And the sleepiness that came over him was stronger and stronger. If it weren't for these fruits to refresh him, he would have collapsed on the sofa and fell asleep. Hearing this, Kao Shishi rubbed her eyes sleepily. I don't know, maybe she is talking to Xiaobingshan about the challenge yesterday morning. Although she and Ziqingaiu did not go to the challenge, Stephanie and Wen Jiu told her everything that happened in the morning after they came back from training. So she knew that Chu Jiayan's opponent was a student upstairs, but none of them knew the other's name. Mingaiu, the only one who knew, hesitated for a long time and refused to say it, so they imitated Stephanie and called Xiaobingshan. Stephanie was finally overcome by sleepiness. She yawned and got up and walked back to the bedroom. Good night, Xiaoha. Good night, Xiaobangli. Finally, she looked at Mingaiu with a smile and said, good night, Xiaodaya. I wish you a good dream. After that, she closed the bedroom door. Hey, why do you only say good dreams to Xiaodaya? Feeling that he was treated differently, Ziqingaiu said angrily, don't Shishi and I deserve your blessing of good dreams? However, no one responded to his question, and there were only yawns at this moment. After a while, Hukaki was so sleepy that he turned back to his original form, curled up on the sofa, and began to sleep. At this time, only Ziqingaiu and Kao Shishi were left, as well as Mingaiu, who was so sleepy that he was about to faint, but still waiting for someone. The ticking of the clock kept ringing, and the sound was really too hypnotic. So Kao Shishi rummaged through the candy jar and found some mint candy. She remembered that Wen Jiu had said that this kind of candy tasted particularly refreshing. She first peeled one and threw it into her mouth. The drowsiness that was about to make her fall asleep was instantly dispelled by the cool mint. Then there was a hint of sweetness on the tip of her tongue, and at the same time there was the freshness and coolness from the mint. The mint candy made her no longer sleepy, just by holding it in her mouth. So she pushed Zikingayu, who had closed her eyes, and said, "Here, eat some candy to wake you up." "Thank you." The other person yawned as soon as he woke up. "Why haven't Sister Jiu and Zhao Bingshan come down yet? I really want to go upstairs to sleep." It's not that he and Kaioshishi wanted to wait, but mainly because their beds were on the second floor. Wen Jiu had previously told them not to disturb them, so he and Kaioshishi couldn't remind them, and could only hope that the two people upstairs would come down quickly. "What kind of candy? Can I have one?" Mengai was about to fall asleep, but when he heard Kaioshishi talking about candy, his greed instantly overwhelmed his sleepiness. In fact, he was not so greedy at ordinary times, mainly because the food here at number 9 was so delicious. After he came here to eat once last time, he thought about it day and night, and he always felt that the food made by number 9 was very similar to that made by Gongzi Fake. But he did not doubt anything because of this. He just thought that delicious food was indeed similar. He saw the candy in the girl's hand just now. He had never seen that blue-green shape before. It must be a special candy made by number 9. Now that you are here, wouldn't it be a pity not to try one? "Hey, why should we give you the candy made by Jiu?" Zikingayu immediately rejected his request. "This candy is made by Jiu for us, you know." Hearing this, Mengayu couldn't help but become sarcastic. "Really? Is your name written on this candy? And I didn't hear your Jiu say that these candies are only for you guys to eat." Although he usually shows a very kind attitude, he is actually not an easygoing person. After all, the Ming family is also a famous family in the imperial capital Star, and he is the most favored in the family. Both his mother and his brother are pampering him, giving him enough confidence to get into trouble. It's just that he doesn't like to cause trouble, so he usually takes friendly solutions to any problems. Only those things that can't be solved friendly will he ask the Ming family for help. It can be said that he doesn't like trouble, but this doesn't mean he is afraid of trouble. Joji didn't say that, and there's no my name on it, but I just don't want to give it to you. Zikingayu made a face that was very annoying. He had suffered a lot in the base, but his inherent characteristics of being a spoiled young master were already deeply rooted, and it was still very difficult to change at once. Although he had restrained himself a lot in front of Kaioshishi and Wen Jiu, he couldn't help but release his spoiled nature when facing Mengayu, who looked like a young master of the same type. "These candies were not bought by you, nor made by you. Why can't you give them to me if you don't want to?" Mengayu immediately retorted angrily. Seeing this, Kaioshishi didn't even want to doze off. She first raised her hand and punched Zikingayu, and then held down the furious Mengayu with her backhand. "I say, how old are you to this year? Isn't it shameful to quarrel here for candy?" What she disliked most was this kind of unreasonable young master's temper, because such a temper always reminded her of her own brother. Annoying, completely spoiled. After saying that, Zikingayu rubbed her chest aggrievedly. I'm so sleepy that I feel like this." However, Kaioshishi didn't buy his trick at all, and just let go of Mengayu, who had calmed down, and said, "I see you are quite energetic. How can you be sleepy? Can't you talk about anything nicely?" "I've said it nicely. I just want to eat some candy." Mengayu couldn't help but start to feel aggrieved. He just wanted to try the mint candy at first, but he was inexplicably scolded and suppressed by a little girl. Hearing this, Kaioshishi took out a few more mint candies from the candy jar. "Okay, one mint candy each. Eat it to refresh yourself and don't quarrel." With her here, Zikingayu couldn't lose her temper anymore, so she just took the mint candy and put it in her mouth. Mengayu on the other side also picked up the mint candy, silently feeling the coolness spreading throughout her body. "Do you think the plan I mentioned will work? If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. We still have 2 days to make plans." After Lu Yan finished speaking, he looked out the window. Wen Jiu, who was standing by, finally came back to his senses. Oh, the plan you mentioned is good, but I need to think about it again." She had been listening attentively to the noise downstairs, fearing that the naughty child Zikingayu would fight with Mingayu. Fortunately, Kaioshishi was always reliable and quickly stopped the dispute. Well, then come to me tomorrow, when you have thought it through. Lu Yan saw the scenery outside through the French window. The moonlight tonight is also very beautiful, with silver white shadows floating on the shimmering lake, and a light mist, giving a sense of a fairyland on earth that is isolated from the world. He turned around, and happened to meet Wen Jiu's eyes. The other party's eyes, which originally contained cunning, became like autumn water because of sleepiness. It was like a bright moon covered by mist, with a little haziness between the flowing light. Seeing this, he couldn't help but say, "The moonlight tonight is so beautiful." But before he could finish what he wanted to say, he was interrupted by Wen Jiu, who was very sleepy. "Oh, yes, you think so too, right? This moon is so big and round. It's like a mooncake during the Mid-Autumn Festival. I want to take a bite when I see it." It was already 3 o'clock in the morning, and she was really sleepy and dizzy. Hearing this, Lu Yan's lips couldn't help but rise slightly. It seems that the timing, he said, was not good enough, but he thought it was good this way. So after he admired the bright moonlight for a moment, he went downstairs and took Mingayu away from residence number 9. Today's third update is also delivered by the little author. Thank you all for your support and love again. 030, whispering, Yanan didn't lose his mind for love. He came to Jiu for 2 reasons. One is that the evil deeds of the 3rd military region need witnesses, and the other is that Jiu is also an acquaintance for him. It is more convenient to start with Jiu than to find other people who don't know the details to cooperate. But he still has a little bias in his heart, hoping to take Jiu away from the base directly. The little author will not spoil the subsequent development here is mainly to explain his motives again, so as not to cause confusion to some cute little angels. 030. Chapter 603 The Storm is Coming 3. At daybreak, the nursery master in charge of them came and rang the doorbell, making the 4 people and 1 fox who were already sleeping late extremely sleepy. "Isn't it 8 o'clock yet? How come the nursery master is here to pick us up?" Zikingayu put on his uniform in a panic, and then hurried downstairs with his toiletries. "I don't know." Kaioshishi packed faster than him. "Didn't he always come on time at 8 o'clock? I just checked the time and it's only 6:30. They went upstairs to rest at a little after 3 in the morning, which means that they had slept for less than 4 hours before they were taken to training by the nursery masters. Hearing this, Zikingayu, who was still too sleepy to open his eyes, complained. Could it be that they have come up with some new training methods, so they moved the time forward? But as soon as he finished speaking, he saw Hukiki running over in a hurry. In order to prevent the nursery masters from finding anything unusual, he always shows his true form during the day, so Zikingayu and Kaioshishi only saw a fluffy white ball running over. Oh, I just leaned over to the door and eavesdropped. Hukiki's breathing was a little hurried. It seems that they are ordered to take Jiu away, because when Jiu and Stephanie have not appeared yet, he can only come to Kaioshishi to report the situation. Hearing this, Zikingai's eyes widened immediately. "What do you mean? They want to take Jiu away? Wait, are you saying that the nursery masters outside are looking for Jiu? Kaioshishi showed a trace of worry. "Then we have to wake Jiu up quickly." As she said that, she threw down the towel and ran to Wen Jiu's room. In order to prevent the nursery masters outside from eavesdropping on the situation, she didn't even dare to knock on the door too loudly. Fortunately, the other party came out sleepily after a while. "What's wrong? Isn't it only 6:30 now?" Wen Jiu had slept very late last night, and now she was so sleepy that she couldn't even open her eyes. She heard the doorbell of someone visiting, but after she glanced at the clock, she continued to sleep with her head down. After all, those nursery masters used to come to pick people up at 8 o'clock, so she thought it was a seedling or a student. "Sister Jiu, there are so many nursery masters outside to catch you." Zikingayu spoke before Kaioshishi could choose a good word. "What should we do? Has the news that we are going to escape been leaked?" He couldn't think of any other reason that could make those nursery masters come together. Just now, after Hukiki finished explaining the situation, he leaned over to the electronic panel and took a look. There were at least 5 or 6 nursery masters standing outside. Wen Jiu was startled by his words and woke up instantly. Seeing that she was still confused, Hukiki hurried over and told her everything he had just heard and seen. I see. Wen Jiu quickly calmed down after hearing what he said. She first knocked on Stephanie's door, and after she opened the door, she pulled the others in. You must remember what I'm going to tell you next, okay? Seeing her serious expression, Stephanie, who was originally indifferent, also became serious. Wen Jiu spoke the plan he and Luyan discussed at the fastest speed, and then taught them seriously how to interfere with the chip on the back of the neck. Stephanie, you must find an opportunity to meet number 8 and tell him everything I said. After she quickly finished what she needed to say, she then instructed on the next matters. Because the appearance of these nursery masters is too strange, it is very likely that I will not be able to come back after I leave. But whether I appear the day after tomorrow or not, you must find a way to leave with number 8. Only if you leave with the people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy, you will have a chance to come to me in the future, right? So don't think about waiting for me to come back. You must follow number 8 when you leave. Although she doesn't trust number 8 very much now, he is the only reliable one at the moment. And she thinks that with no 8's IQ, he will definitely not mess things up. It's not that she doesn't trust Kyoshi and the other two, but mainly because Kyoshi and Zikingayu are still young, and Stephanie's mental state is unstable. So she can't let go and leave the matter to them, and the only person who can go to Luyan to discuss the plan is number 8. Hearing this, Kyoshi couldn't help but reveal a trace of panic. Jiu, what if they just take you for training? If that's the case, of course it would be the best, but I have to prepare for the worst. Wen Jiu looked at her softly. Don't worry too much, they won't do anything to me. After the words fell, the already fragile Zikingai's eyes instantly reddened. Jiu, can we think of another way? Can you not leave with the nursery teacher? They finally met Wen Jiu here, and with his help, they regained their memories. Although they were living under house arrest, he always felt that Wen Jiu would have a way to take them out of the nursery base. But he never thought that the other party would leave them again. There is no other choice now. Wen Jiu was helpless about this. Even if I don't take the initiative to follow them, they will take me away by force. So I might as well pretend to be ignorant first. At least this can reduce their vigilance and make it easier for me to find out what happened. After comforting Zikingayu, who had already started to cry, she looked at Stephanie with a serious expression. The other party was no longer as casual as before, but instead put on a serious expression like her. Seeing this, she couldn't help but sigh and said, Stephanie, where do you think they will take me? It may be a small dark room or a place of execution. Stephanie no longer used her usual relaxed tone. If they really want to take you to the place of execution, then you must find a chance to escape, understand? After all, she has been in the nursery base for more than 3 years and knows much more than other seedlings. Generally, seedlings will be punished by electric shocks after violating the rules. If they are found to be at a high risk level at the same time, they will be sent to a small dark room for a period of time. Therefore, many seedlings think that the highest punishment is to be locked up in a small dark room. This is not the case. The highest punishment in the seedling base is actually baptism, which is the most painful and terrifying punishment. Even she has endless fear of baptism. And the place where the punishment of baptism is carried out is called the mysterious execution ground by them. Wait, what is the execution ground? Wen Jiu just said the question in his heart and heard the piercing doorbell ring again. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 604. Storm is coming 4. In order to avoid the nursery masters outside the door from thinking too much, Wen Jiu quickly changed her uniform and went out after washing up. As soon as she opened the door, she saw 4 nursery masters standing neatly outside, as well as some soldiers holding laser guns and tranquilizer guns. Seeing her come out, the leading nursery master stepped forward and said, "Number 9 seedling, please come with us." Hearing this, Wen Jiu just nodded indifferently, then turned around and gently closed the door. just like she was usually taken to training by the nursery master. "Let's go. Is there any special training today?" She chatted with the nursery master in charge of her, as if nothing had happened. "Why did you come so early today and bring so many people with you?" Although the nursery masters were wrapped tightly in cloaks and wore strange masks on their faces to cover their faces, but she could tell from the patterns on their masks which one she had never seen before and which one was responsible for taking care of her. After that, the nursery teacher who was in charge of taking care of her answered naturally, "It's like this. The Star-Lord checked the information of the top 10 seedlings yesterday. Because you are the only new seedling in the top 10 during this period, the Star-Lord wants to meet you to show encouragement." His words sounded perfect. If it were any other seedling, they would be coaxed to be overjoyed. But Wen Jiu was not happy about it. She silently wondered why the Star-Lord wanted to meet her. Because Stephanie has been wandering between the top 10 and the bottom position for many years, she is indeed the only new seedling in the top 10 during this period. She has been in the top 10 for many days. If the Star-Lord really wanted to meet and encourage her, he could have found time to meet her a few days ago, and there was no need to bring it up at this juncture. Of course, it could just be a coincidence, but she didn't think it was just a coincidence. However, she did not show her thoughts, but nodded slightly and said, "So that's how it is. If I had known earlier, I would have packed it up." After saying this, the leading nursery master asked her to close her eyes first, and it seemed that he was going to summon a floating bubble to set off. Wen Jiu closed her eyes as ordered, and listened to the movements around her. The soldiers waiting beside her did not seem to board the bubble together. The moment she felt suspended in the air, they quickly walked away in a uniform pace. Although it was a good thing that there were fewer people guarding her, which would make it easier for her to find an opportunity to escape, she did not relax at this moment. Because the departure of those soldiers gave her an opportunity, it also meant that the place she was going to was not guarded by anyone, and the nursery masters did not worry about her escape. Wen Jiu only felt that her mood became heavier, and she couldn't help but worry about the situation of Kyoshi and others. If the Star Master really discovered their escape plan, it would not only be her who would suffer, but also number 8, number 6 and Kyoshi would be in trouble. However, she couldn't show her anxiety at the moment. What if these nursery masters didn't know her plan, but she was exposed because of her anxiety, which would turn into a self-incriminating situation. So she could only adjust her breathing silently and keep her emotions stable. The floating island, where the Star Master was located, seemed to be far away from the nursery base. She was still a little sleepy. Now she closed her eyes like this, and she felt that she was about to fall asleep standing. If she hadn't been thinking about how to deal with it next, she could really doze off standing in the bubble. "We're almost there. Please ask seedling number 9 to follow me to meet the Star Master later." Hearing this, Wen Jiu tentatively opened his eyes slowly. I saw that the blue sea was full of broken golden light, and the sparkling waves were like gold particles hidden in the deep sea. No matter how many times she saw such a beautiful scenery, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart, if only she hadn't been imprisoned here. When she looked up again, she saw a smoky scene in the distance. When their floating bubble passed through the cloud, she saw the huge floating island, where the Star-Lord was. It was different from what she imagined. She thought that the Star-Lord's island would also use metal blocks to build buildings, but she didn't expect that the other party would use a variety of building materials to build a huge and gorgeous castle that was almost exaggerated. "We are here." As soon as the words fell, they landed steadily outside the gate of the castle. Wen Jiu observed the surroundings calmly and saw that the other 3 seedling growers who followed them lowered their heads and retreated to the side the moment they landed. Only the seedling grower who had been communicating with her made a gesture of invitation in the direction of the gate. Seeing this, she hesitated for a moment before walking towards the big red city gate that was about 2 stories high. When she walked slowly to the city gate, the soldiers guarding on both sides looked at her. "This is the guest of the Star-Lord," the nursery master who had been following her said. "I have informed the Star-Lord." After saying this, one of the soldiers in a red uniform made a gesture, and the others immediately straightened their postures and stopped looking at her. However, the soldier still did not open the city gate. He first reported to the people around the Star Lord, and then opened the city gate. After confirming the news, Wen Jiu had been observing these soldiers silently, and it could be seen that they were all transferred from the 3rd military district. Because the representative color of the 3rd military district is red, and the representative color of the 5th military district is dark green. If nothing unexpected happens, the cooperation between the 2 military districts should be mainly based on the 3rd military district. After all, the soldiers guarding the castle are all from the 3rd military district, and the Star Lord in the castle must also be from the 3rd military district. Of course, the possibility that the Star Lord is from the 5th military district cannot be ruled out. Maybe these soldiers are both guarding and monitoring here. Let's go. The Star Lord has been waiting for you for a long time. The nursery master, who had been following behind before, took the lead in entering the castle at this time. Seeing this, Wen Jiu followed at a steady pace. However, it was not the same as the interior of the castle she knew. After entering, it was not a hall with gorgeous decorations, but a spiral staircase covered with red velvet carpet. She followed the nursery master around the spiral staircase for a long time before entering a magnificent corridor. Then she walked around in the corridor for a long time before walking to a door carved with gold patterns. Before the nursery master knocked on the door, Wen Jiu was searched by the soldier guarding the door. Even the storage ring on her wrist was taken off by the female soldier in charge of the search. Okay, go in. After that, the nursery master knocked on the magnificent door. This is the second update of the day. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 605. What if I don't want to join the church? Come in, I'm already impatient. Wen Jiu thought the Star Master would be a middle-aged man, but she didn't expect the voice to be so clear. It seemed that the other party should still be a young man in his 20s. Hearing the voice, the nursery teacher beside her immediately pushed the door and walked in. On the way, the other party did not forget to turn around and signal her to come in. So she had to be extremely alert, paying attention to the surroundings, while slowly moving forward. As soon as she walked in, she was greeted by a strong and sweet fragrance. Wen Jiu silently raised her hand to cover her mouth and nose. Although she did not reject this very strong sweet fragrance, she was now outside and had to be on guard against others. It seemed that, in order to prevent others from prying into her privacy, a huge screen was placed at the door to block it. Brother, why don't you eat the grapes I peeled? Brother Yi, look at Sister Zina. Is the dance she dances beautiful? Unlike the light outside that was so bright that even dusk could be seen clearly, the room was illuminated by only a few gorgeous golden lamps. The dim light, coupled with the hazy tulle hanging down and the coquettish voices from different women, made her feel like she had strayed into some extraordinary scene. Fortunately, there was a nursery master in front of her, so she didn't have to worry about being embarrassed by bumping into something. Star-Lord, the number 9 seedling has arrived. The nursery master who brought her in saluted the man sitting on the throne not far away after bypassing the screen. I see, you really know how to pick the time. Liang Yi exhaled smoke with an unhappy look on his face. You guys go down first. Don't disturb me here to talk about things. Hearing this, the women in semi-transparent tulle quickly retreated. Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but reveal a trace of disgust. She didn't hate these women who were only beautiful, but she hated this Star-Lord who used women for fun. You are the number 9 seedling, right? You don't look very good. Liang Yi seemed to have not seen the disgust in her eyes, and he spoke to himself while puffing out smoke. Hearing this, Wen Jiu took a few steps forward and looked up at him and said, you are the Star-Lord, right? You don't look that good either. She was thinking about being careful before, but after seeing this man playing with women, the anger hidden in her heart burned up. After the voice fell, Liang Yi raised the corner of his mouth and chuckled. It's a bit interesting. No wonder that person wants to see you. He was originally following the plan given by the superiors, step by step, to stimulate the hatred in the heart of the number 9 seedling, so that he could reach the state required by those masters for experiments. But he didn't expect that he received a message at midnight yesterday. In addition to asking him to send the number 9 seedling away today, it also mentioned that the master wanted to meet the number 9 seedling in person. To be honest, he felt that many of the seedlings in his hands were better than this rude girl. But those masters in the research institute specifically asked for the number 9 seedling, saying that the other party's physique was most suitable for experiments. Hearing this, Wen Jiu chose to remain silent this time. At first, she thought that the Star Lord had noticed something and wanted to see her, but she didn't expect that it was the other mysterious person mentioned by the other party who wanted to see her. In just 2 months, you have been promoted from level 2 to level 5. In terms of the speed of supernatural power promotion, you are barely a good seedling. But compared with number 1, who I personally cultivated, you are really not good enough for me. Liang Yi pretended to mention number 1 unintentionally. He exhaled a puff of smoke lightly, and then added, you should have seen number 1 yesterday, right? He is the plant I'm most satisfied with. In fact, Wen Jiu's promotion speed is faster than Chu Jian, but he doesn't like this girl who showed up halfway. To be more precise, he hates these extremely talented women. Women should be well behaved and obedient. Why should they compete with men? So he likes to keep those women who are only beautiful, play with them in his hands, tease them when he is happy, and beat or kill them when he is unhappy. After hearing this, Wen Jiu frowned. This was mainly because the Star Lord suddenly mentioned Chu Jian. She knew that Chu Jian had suffered a lot in the seedling base. Chu Jian finally found a chance to escape, but he had to wander around and flee with the crime, and he would never be able to meet his family again. Now that she knew that the person who persecuted her was the Star Lord, her anger was like being added to the dry firewood, and she wanted to hang this person up with a vine whip right now. Why don't you talk? Liang Yi winked at the seedling master next to him. If you don't want to talk, don't talk. I don't want to waste time here. He wanted to take the seedling number 9 to the room of the adult first, and then send an interstellar spacecraft to send the other party to the 3rd Military Region Research Institute before the people of the 1st Military Region found out. Seeing that the seedling number 9 was still standing there stupidly, he couldn't help but put on a contemptuous and arrogant look and said, I thought you were so brave, but now it seems that you are just so-so. Hearing this, Wen Jiu instantly pulled out the vine whip in his hand. Anyway, she couldn't escape after coming here, so she might as well beat up the Star Master for fun, even if she could only get one whip by sneak attack. Liang Yi originally just wanted to make a few sarcastic remarks, but he didn't expect that the number 9 seedling was so bold that he dared to use supernatural powers to attack him here. How dare you? Seeing this, he quickly constructed a supernatural shield on his body, but unfortunately he was still a few seconds slower, and the thick vine whip just hit his arm. Wen Jiu's whip was so fast and fierce that it directly tore his sleeves and whipped the flesh inside blood red. He looked at the scarlet blood mark on his arm and immediately shouted to the outside with blood, are you all deaf and blind? Come and hold this seedling down for me. As soon as the voice fell, the soldiers guarding outside immediately pushed the door and rushed in, raising their laser guns and aiming at Wen Jiu, who was standing in the middle. She originally wanted to fight back, but the seedling master who had been beside her walked in front of her at this time. The other party first added a layer of shield on her body and then spoke in an androgynous voice. Please don't be impulsive, Star-Lord. This seedling has been named by the higher-ups, and we cannot deal with it without authorization now. She violated the seedling rules, so I can't deal with it? Liang Yi was so angry that he laughed, and don't use the rules above to pressure me. This is Brickstar, and I have the final say in everything. As soon as he finished speaking, a black smoke suddenly came out of the seedling nursery. The other party began to twitch constantly, as if possessed by evil spirits, and at the same time, a faint and gentle female voice suddenly sounded in the room. Really? How come I didn't know that you have the final say on Brickstar now? Today's 3rd update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you again to every little angel for your support. It's almost the end of the month again. Thank you for the little angels who have always been with me. 030. Chapter 606. Be my believer too. As soon as the words fell, the black smoke condensed into a human shape in an instant. However, in the smoky air, Wen Jiu still could not see the graceful figure hidden behind the thick smoke. My lord Liang Yi had not finished his words when he was frightened to his knees by the invisible aura. The soldiers who had pointed laser guns at Wen Jiu before also knelt down in unison when the black smoke condensed into shape, which showed that these people were very afraid of the mysterious black smoke. "Didn't I say that you must bring the guest to me without any harm?" Hearing this, Liang Yi hesitated for a moment before trembling and straightening up, but his eyes still dared to stare at the ground. He spoke carefully, "My lord, I did exactly what you said. You see, this guest is fine now." As soon as the words fell, a fierce pain suddenly swept through his body. He instantly fell to the ground and twitched, his face flushed with pain, and he kept sweating. A wisp of black smoke flew out of the mysterious man and entered his body in the blink of an eye. In a moment, his face turned from red to grey, as if he was in the ice and snow, and he curled up and shivered constantly. "Although I have been sleeping all this time, don't think I can't see your thoughts." The more Wen Jiu looked at this scene, the more familiar it seemed. She remembered that when Yu Rumen and herself were attacked by Lu Zuang and her men, the other party summoned this mysterious black smoke in a hurry. It was precisely because of the appearance of this strange black smoke that she failed to successfully punish Lu Zuang and the culprit who caused Yu Rumen to suffer serious injuries. So she clenched the vine whip in her hand, thinking about how to solve the dilemma in front of her. Just as she was observing and thinking deeply, the graceful figure condensed by the black smoke walked towards her with light toes and lotus steps. "Little girl, long time no see." God Sulame's eyes were full of smiles. "It seems that you have recovered well, better than I thought." Hearing this, Wen Jiu just remained alert and did not speak. She did not know the identity of the black smoke in front of her, nor did she know where it came from. Seeing that she did not reply, God Sulame stepped forward with a calm expression. "I guess you must be very curious about why I want to see you. If you want to know the answer, just follow me." After saying this, the black smoke that had originally condensed into a human shape dissipated in an instant, leaving only a faint smoke to guide the depths of the room. After this mysterious black smoke figure disappeared, the soldiers kneeling on the ground stood up. They did not point their laser guns at Wen Jiu anymore, but bowed their heads respectfully and left the door. Seeing this, Wen Jiu was very confused. But she now had only two choices. One was to bravely break into the castle and escape, and the other was to follow the smoke. After thinking for a while, she lowered her eyes to look at the Star-Lord on the ground. The other party seemed to be in a cold ice cellar, and even ice particles condensed on his hair. Forget it. She felt that she should not be able to escape from this castle, so she might as well go to the direction indicated by the strange black smoke. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu held the vine whip tightly and walked over carefully. She didn't whip the Star-Lord just now just to vent, but mainly because she hadn't found an opportunity to test whether the method taught by number 8 was effective along the way. So she just wanted to try it out to see if the chip was successfully interfered. At present, it seems that the method given by number 8 is effective, and it seems that the other party did not deceive her. Number 8 is at least a reliable person. In this way, even if she is taken away, Kaioshishi and others can escape smoothly. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu's heart, which has been hanging, has stabilized a little. She followed the smoke through the veil and walked to the deepest part, and then she was able to glimpse the door hidden in the dark corner. Unlike the exaggerated golden doors she had seen before, this door was painted in a thick black color, and there were many mysterious and strange patterns carved on it. Wen Jiu originally wanted to observe the door for a while, but the door suddenly creaked open. Seeing this, she could only be extremely alert, and after adding a layer of shield to herself, she walked in with a vigilant look. But she was a little confused when she stepped into the room, because everything in front of her made her feel very familiar. Unlike the dim light outside, there was a mysterious purple light everywhere. There were no windows or any furniture, only a golden platform standing in the middle. She always felt that she seemed to have been here, but she couldn't remember it for a while. "You should have come here earlier, my most loyal believer." A charming and graceful female voice suddenly sounded in the room, and at the same time, the crystal ball placed on the platform also bloomed with a faint mysterious light at this moment. Seeing this, Wen Jiu remembered it. When she first came to this nursery base, the nursery master brought her to this strange room. The walls and floors here are made of obsidian with purple glints, so it emits a strange and mysterious faint purple light in the extremely dim light. But she remembered that when she first came, the room was full of thick white fog that could not be dissolved, and it was completely different from the transparent and unobstructed appearance now. There was also the crystal ball placed on the golden platform. She was asked by the nursery master to walk around the crystal ball, and finally she went forward to touch it for a long time before being taken out of the room. Just as Wen Jiu was staring at the crystal ball, the charming female voice that could easily capture people's hearts rang again. This is a shadow crystal ball used to pray for my arrival. Ornaments made of shadow crystals like this can also store some of my power. Do you remember our first meeting? That person used the pendant made of shadow crystals to release a trace of my hidden divine power, which made me come to save her. As soon as the words fell, the crystal ball, which was originally emitting a faint light, suddenly flew in front of Wen Jiu out of thin air. The next second, a rapidly rotating vortex condensed in the crystal ball, and at the same time, several black smokes were flying in the room. Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but strengthen the shield and took a few steps back. But she had just prepared for it and suddenly felt a chill. From the first time I saw you, I knew that you would eventually surrender to me and become my most loyal believer in the world. Because you and I are both spirits from another world, no one is more suitable than you to be my messenger in the world. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 607 Be My Believer 3. Hearing this, Wen Jiu could not help but freeze in place. If you are willing to become my believer, I can help you return to your original world. Seeing that she did not reply, the god of Sulame continued to tempt her. If I become your believer, you can help me return to my original world. Wen Jiu finally pulled herself out of her thousands of thoughts. Although she was shocked that this so-called god of Sulame knew that her soul was not from this world. But she knew that she could not panic at this time, otherwise it would be easy for the other party to see through her thoughts. Yes, little girl, the voice of the god of Sulame came from behind her ears. I have been waiting in this world for too long, and finally I have found the second soul of another world. After her voice fell, Wen Jiu felt a chill. This feeling was like falling into an ice cellar, so cold that she couldn't stop shivering. Seeing this, the god of Sulame, who was originally attached to her back, turned into black smoke and continued to float in the room. I have a small question. If I want to return to my original world, what price do I need to pay? Wen Jiu didn't believe that this thing, which was obviously the work of the evil god, would be so kind as to help him return to his original world for free. Hearing this, the god of Sulame couldn't help but chuckle. You are worthy of being the one I have chosen. You are more sober than others. In fact, you don't need to pay a high price. Just help me find the lost godhead. She finally climbed to the throne of God, but was shot down by the hateful human woman. As a result, her soul and godhead were scattered in this world. Now, relying on her former loyal believers, she has finally found a little soul over the years. But the soul alone can only awaken her existence, and it cannot make her have the divine power that was above 10,000 people before. Although her current power is enough to be feared, if she wants to revive and reverse time and space, she must find back her lost godhead in various places. The problem is that the soul and godhead are completely different. The former only needs to find her former objects, and after collecting them, it can help her gain a new life. But the latter must have someone with the same otherworldly soul to sense her godhood that was stripped and scattered by the human woman. Aren't you already a god? Why do you want to find your godhood back? Wen Jiu was happy when she heard this. After all, she would not miss any opportunity to mock her enemies. And she used to be a cultivator. Although becoming a god is not the same as becoming an immortal, her master still talked about it. Cultivators can become immortals after surviving the Thunder Tribulation, but to become a god, they still need to go through the sufferings of the world. This is also the reason why many cultivators have to experience life as mortals in the world after surviving the tribulation and becoming immortals. Only by experiencing all kinds of suffering in the world can one temper his mind and obtain the godhood to become a god. But Wen Jiu couldn't be sure whether the rules of this world were the same as her original world. If she were the older, she would still doubt the authenticity of the god of Sulamei. But after she saw the fox Kiki who had cultivated into a spirit, she realized that this world was not without spiritual energy, but that she had not yet found a planet with spiritual energy. However, in this short contact between her and the god of Sulamei, she could temporarily determine that the other party did not become a god through cultivation, because she could feel from the black smoke that condensed into the god of Sulamei that the various resentments in it were so many that they could not be exorcised. When her ability level was low some time ago, the spiritual power in her body was very scarce, so she could not sense the resentment of others. But now she is a level 5 superpower, and the spiritual power in her body has also increased greatly. As long as she wants, she can sense the resentment. It's just that she is not willing to use this ability at ordinary times. After all, no one likes to open their eyes and see a room full of ghosts, or the thick black resentment running around and disturbing people. Don't ask these things anymore in the future. The god of Sulamei released a wisp of black smoke, tightly wrapped around her neck and limbs. You just need to do what I say. If someone else talked to her in this mocking tone, she would definitely strangle that person on the spot without mercy. But now the person who said this was Wen Jiu, the messenger she had waited for so hard, and the soul from another world that she had been searching for a long time, so she could only use a little trick to threaten the other party. You can rest assured, as long as you help me find the lost godhood, I will help you return to your previous world. Wen Jiu couldn't help but smile after hearing this, even though she was now firmly imprisoned and unable to use her supernatural powers, and the suffocation in her neck made her consciousness a little blurred. She also had to seize this opportunity to speak with difficulty. Really? Then you have to tell me how to find it? And how did you strip your godhood? Generally speaking, after becoming a god, you are at the peak of invincibility. Unless you have done something that hurts the heavens and is punished by God, gods cannot be stripped of their godhood under normal circumstances. So she can probably judge that this god of Sulamei was stripped of his godhood because he did too many bad things and was punished by God. Little girl, do you think I can't see through your mind? Provoking is the most useless method for me. After the words fell, the black smoke that imprisoned Wen Jiu suddenly tightened and at the same time brought waves of coldness that made her tremble. She really wanted to use provocation to trick him, but it was a pity that the god of Sulamei didn't fall for it. The next second, the black smoke that was floating in the house suddenly condensed into shape, and the other party walked in front of her slowly. It's really strange. How can you have so much of my divine power in your body? Although when the god of Sulamei and Wen Jiu met for the first time, she injected a trace of her divine power into the other party's body to prevent the little girl from escaping and make it easier for her believers to find her. But when she wanted to take back this trace of divine power just now, she found that in addition to the divine power she injected at that time, there was actually a more powerful divine power in Wen Jiu's body. After she carefully sensed it for a moment, she realized that this divine power came from her hand. You must know that she will never forget the personal thing that has been injected with divine power by her hand and can sense the location of the other party. But she didn't remember when she injected so much divine power into the other party. The most important thing is that before she took back that trace of divine power just now, she didn't even sense the existence of this power. You don't know. How can I know? Wen Jiu was almost strangled by the black smoke at this moment. She only felt a blur in front of her eyes, and physiological tears kept falling. Seeing this, the god Sulamei couldn't help but inject his divine power again. Unlike before for marking, she had to unravel the mystery and find the relevant memories this time. After all, she hasn't found her godhood yet, and every loss of divine power will make her weaker. So she must know how Wen Jiu stole so much power from her, and she hasn't discovered it yet. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030. Chapter 608 The Original Owner's Memory 1. Woo 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 woo. Let me go. Let me go. I want my mom. Mom. Woo 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 woo. I don't want to do the experiment. I don't want to do the experiment. Let me go. Subject number 1 has been anesthetized and will be injected next. The experiment failed. The injected gene cannot be integrated with subject number 1. I request to stop the experiment and readjust the plan. Countless fragments of memory suddenly emerged in Wen Jiu's mind, just like a revolving lantern before a person is on the verge of death. She could vaguely see that it was a little girl of about 6 years old, surrounded by many tall people in white clothes in the center of the room. They frowned and looked disappointed at first, but when the anesthesia effect of the operation disappeared, animal ears suddenly grew on the top of the little girl's head, and even a tail suddenly appeared behind her. They were like watching some rare creatures, watching the changes of the little girl after the experiment with great joy. Did you see that? I told you that animal genes can be fused with human genes. TSK, how many experimental subjects did you injure or kill before you succeeded? So what? As long as we finally complete the experiment, isn't that enough? Those experimental subjects are just laying the foundation for success. Look at number 1. Her ears and tail have all grown out. We can report the results first. Although the people in white were all wearing light blue masks, they couldn't hide their ugly faces. While they were celebrating the success of the experiment, the little girl locked in the cage was shivering. From her exposed slender limbs, it can be seen that she has been forced to accept an inhuman life here. Countless needle holes of different sizes and many suture wounds all reveal the various desperate pains she has suffered. Sure enough, this experimental subject is the most suitable for experiments. After the animal genes are completely integrated with her, I think we can put the shelved plan on the agenda. You mean this plan? I'm afraid that number 1 can't bear such frequent experiments. She almost died in the operating room just now. You are really nosy. How can we report to the higher ups if we don't do experiments? Do you think our funds are picked up for nothing? I think you are right. Besides, number 1 hasn't done any postoperative tests yet. Let's submit a new plan to the higher ups in a few days. Then the scene changed, and the little girl was standing in a pool of blood. The most distressing thing was that there were 7 or 8 children of the same age lying at her feet. She numbly held the sharp blade tightly in her hand, but tears kept falling from her eyes. I think we can rank number 1 as S-class. Her abilities are totally unmatched by other test subjects. Don't worry. There is another test subject over there. I heard that he has successfully integrated the power of. The rating test can be carried out in a few days. Damn it, why did he produce an S-class test subject before us? It was obviously us who found the method of fusion gene first. Point, don't be too angry. The test subject over there may not be stronger than number 1. After all, there are very few test subjects who can integrate and power at the same time. Point, yes. I just don't accept it. The next scene was even more frightening. The little girl was exiled to the forest by these people. The thin figure ran wildly in the forest in the pouring rain, and there were countless wild wolves chasing behind her. This time she didn't even have a weapon to defend herself. The next second, she was suddenly tripped by a vine in panic, and the wild wolves that were biting her rushed over quickly. Just as the wild wolves were about to run in front of her, they were suddenly pierced in the abdomen by countless vines. At the same time, a fiery orange-red flame ignited in an instant. Just like the bright fireworks set off in midsummer, the ashes from the burning flames were scattered with blood. The little girl covered in mud was panting on the ground, letting the ashes and blood fall on her. After she exhaustedly found the target object of this training, the white-clothed people who had been observing her in the aircraft, all smiled happily. In my opinion, number 1 is the relentless level experiment. The one they imitated is completely incomparable. But number 1 needs to be trained in emotional management. He can't always explode when his life is at stake. We can test his mental strength later. By the way, I heard that the imitation was tested to be S level. They are still arguing about this. The level has not been determined yet, but soon the scene changed again, and the little girl lay pale in the medical cabin. She closed her eyes and breathed weakly. If it weren't for the ticking of the instrument next to her, I'm afraid others would have mistaken her for death. Why? What went wrong? How could the experiment fail? I just checked the data analysis and found nothing wrong. There is also no problem with the plan we listed. I just don't know why the power injection didn't work. I think the number one experiment has been done too many times. Maybe this is a reason why the power injection failed. Don't think I don't know what you are thinking. I know the situation best. Go get it and do it again. The experiment failed again. Maybe it was because the original owner had a stress reaction that caused forgetfulness, or it could be that these memories were buried deep due to human interference. So when Jiu couldn't find the original owner's childhood memories before, and the only memory she received was that the original owner lived alone and picked up garbage. It was because of this that she thought the original owner was an abandoned orphan who had been living on planet 3047 by picking up garbage. She had wondered before, if the other party was abandoned by his parents since childhood, how could he grow from a baby to a child? But she didn't expect that the original owner was originally an abandoned baby thrown in an orphanage and was adopted by those people and taken to the research institute when he was 3 or 4 years old. Although being adopted is a very lucky thing, unfortunately, the original owner's physique is very suitable for those people to do experiments. So after being taken to the institute, the original owner began her painful and long experimental life. She had to have blood drawn and sent for surgery every day. After a long time, she almost forgot that she was a living person. Generally speaking, it is difficult for people to remember things from their childhood. Perhaps it is because the original owner had been subjected to genetic experiments, or it may be because the original owner suffered too much pain, so she remembers these things very clearly. It's just a pity that the original owner was artificially anesthetized most of the time, so these memories have always been between clear and vague. This is the third update of the day. It has been delivered successfully. Whisper. Tomorrow we will start escaping from the base plus fighting back against abuse, then we will enter a new plot. Thank you all for your company all the time, especially the little angels who have been following and voting. The jail plot is about to end. I know that many little angels find this part very frustrating and uncomfortable. But these are things that Jiu must go through on her way to growth, and the development of the hidden plot is also slowly being revealed. The framework of this article is very large and there are many ideas. I dare not say that there are no bugs in it until now, but I have been writing and repairing it as much as possible to perfect it. There are also some things that seem to be bugs, but are actually foreshadowings underscore. The plot outline was set when the book was first published. I personally like this story very much and don't want to modify the plot. I think the complete Jiu cannot be shown without any part, so I can't help it if everyone finds it unacceptable. As an author, I certainly hope that you can keep reading. However, if you feel uncomfortable reading, you can stop reading for a while. It doesn't matter. I will still thank you for your company during this period. After all, everyone has different tastes in reading. I won't force anything. I'm very happy that my book can be read by everyone. That's about it. I haven't written such a long rant for a long time. I still wish you all a happy life every day. Chapter 609. The original owner's memory 2. Scene after scene was like a film wetted by water, sometimes clear and sometimes blurred, all of which showed the pain that the original owner had experienced in the past. All kinds of sufferings surged towards Wen Jiu like a tide and surrounded her. Although these fragmented and painful memories did not belong to her, perhaps because her current body was the body of the original owner, she seemed to have experienced those sufferings in person. Panic, fear, anger, regret, despair. All kinds of negative emotions were like a volcanic eruption, sweeping over Wen Jiu at this moment. The god Sulemei, who was reading her memory, was also hit by these fierce resentful emotions. Therefore, she could only withdraw her divine power to avoid being affected and backlashed. Although she could not find out how the divine power was injected from the memory she had just read with great difficulty. It should be that those people in white stole her former artifact and used some special means to avoid waking her up from her deep sleep, and then injected part of the divine power in the artifact into Wen Jiu's body. Strangely enough, she had never seen anyone who could extract divine power from her own artifact. To put it bluntly, let alone stealing divine artifacts, they also had no way to steal her divine power from the jewelry she had given to her believers. This discovery made the god Sulome very angry. She was a god who was above everyone else in the past. It was fine that she had been stripped of her divinity and fell into a deep sleep, but there were actually humans who were so bold as to steal her divine power. So she glanced at Wen Jiu, who was bound by her, and she planned to read his childhood memories again. It would be best if she could find that group of people. Although she has not yet recovered her divinity, her former divine power is recovering little by little, and it is still easy to kill those daring humans. The symptoms shown by number 1 this time are still the same as before. It may be because she is too young and has strong emotional fluctuations, so she fantasizes about a friend who does not exist at all. How could this problem occur to experiment number 1? Didn't you do the counseling as I said? But number 1 still has this situation. Maybe it's electric shock. Then increase the dosage of number 1. Don't let her symptoms affect the subsequent experiments. If she doesn't take it, just use a syringe to inject it. The picture that flashed this time was clearer than the previous one, perhaps because the original owner was taken for so-called psychological treatment. She was sitting on the extremely cold desk and chair, writing and drawing. She was clearly doing what the psychologist asked her to do, drawing her dreams on the paper in front of her truthfully. But she didn't know why. After the treatment, she was sent to the electric shock room, and the pain of thousands of needles piercing her bones was enough to make her faint. But because of the interference of the drugs of those white-clothed people, she could only feel the pain of being electrocuted soberly. At the same time, Wen Jiu, who was forced to recall, also felt a lot of pain. It was as if the person pressed on the chair was not the original owner but her. Every scene made her feel as if she was experiencing it herself. Then the scene changed again. The original owner who was imprisoned in the cage was suddenly given an anesthetic and then was stuffed into a box like a pet. However, the anesthetic this time was not as strong as before. In addition, the original owner had been fed too many drugs and had developed a certain resistance to these drugs, so she just squeezed into the box drowsily. Enter the information you need to bring into the wisdom ring quickly. Let's go. Hurry up and send number 1 to all the experimental subjects. All must be destroyed immediately. I didn't expect that my hard work for so many years would be destroyed in one fell swoop. This bastard who crosses the river and destroys the bridge. Stop saying those discouraging words. If you don't leave, hurry up. I should have known that he was a villain who would stab you in the back. Poor my baby number 1. There will be a more perfect experimental subject to replace you in the future. As these blurred images gradually dissipated, the anger for revenge became more and more intense. At this time, Wen Jiu was not only suffering from the pain of the original owner's memories, but also the coldness of having her memory read by the god of Sulome. She felt like she was cut by a knife. Half of her was originally living in the modern world and practicing happily, and the other half was the original owner who was repeatedly tortured to numbness. Strange, how did those humans do it? The god of Sulome originally wanted to continue reading her memory, but in the next second, the divine power injected into her body by the other party was suddenly swept by strong resentment. Although the god of Sulome was not afraid of these resentments at all. After all, she had committed so many murders in the past that she couldn't count them herself. Even if she was entangled with resentment, she could refine it into power and use it for herself. But now she is just a soul differentiated from her body. How can she withstand such a fierce attack of resentment? The god of Sulome, who was suddenly attacked, was forced to retract his divine power. But what she didn't expect was that, just when she wanted to withdraw, Wen Jiu suddenly woke up from her trance. The trace of divine power she had previously injected into the other person's body was like a cotton thread doused in fuel oil. The flames that could not be materialized suddenly ignited and burned in the direction where she had withdrawn her divine power. The god of Sulome could not help but panic for a moment. She could feel her divine power fading, but she could not extinguish the burning flames. Ordinary supernatural flames could not hurt her at all, because the source of her divine power was actually her soul, so only attacks on her soul could hurt her. The deep sea blue flame that Wen Jiu had previously subdued happened to be a kind of fire that could burn the soul. How could you do that? The black smoke that had condensed into a human shape before dissipated in an instant. Bold human. How dare you hurt me? Upon hearing this, Wen Jiu first sensed the soul of the god of Sulame. After confirming that she couldn't find the other party for the time being, she chuckled nonchalantly and said, "Aren't you the high and mighty god? This little injury shouldn't be a big deal to you." As soon as she finished speaking, a ball of black smoke condensed into a skull shape and suddenly rushed in front of her. How can I allow a believer like you to be so presumptuous in front of this god? Then, Wen Jiu felt a chill spreading over her body, as if she were falling into an ice cellar, but she, who had always been very afraid of the cold, did not shiver at all. Her right hand was spread out flat in front of her chest, and her left hand was slightly curled up in a lotus shape, and placed on top of her right hand. The chill dissipated the moment the handprint was formed. Your believer? I will eventually become a god, so why should I be your believer? This is the first update of the day. It has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 610. The original owner's memory 3. After saying that, a strong wind suddenly blew in the windowless room. You are an evil creature that has committed countless murders, and you are worthy of becoming a god. You deserve to be punished by God and stripped of your godhood and turned back to your original form. Wen Jiu said as she condensed several fireballs around her to prevent the god of Sulame from attacking her again. The deep sea blue flame is a sacred object. The damage it causes to souls and evil creatures is completely incomparable to other weapons. Damn human, aren't you afraid of being hunted down by my followers? The god of Sulame found that he could not attack Wen Jiu for the time being, so he quickly changed his strategy and began to persuade her with reason and emotion. Moreover, she was injured by the opponent's flame just now, and she was afraid that this wisp of soul would soon be unable to hold on. It's strange to say that she had seen Wen Jiu use this kind of flame before, but the power at that time was not as fierce as it is now, so she regarded the other party as an ant that was easy to control. Unexpectedly, it has only been more than 2 months, and Wen Jiu has grown to this point. It seems that she underestimated this little girl. Hunting? You can rest assured. After I disperse this wisp of your spirit, I will go to settle accounts with your believers one by one. After saying that, she manipulated the fireballs surrounding her and attacked the crystal ball in the middle of the platform. No. You will pay the price for what you did. As the fireballs condensed by the deep sea blue flame fell, the crystal ball placed in the center of the platform shattered instantly. For a while, a strong wind blew, and there were piercing screams in the room. The crystal ball with a faint light shattered into powder on the ground, and the flying black smoke also dissipated after a crazy moment. Seeing this, Wen Jiu's mouth corners slightly raised. It seems that her guess was not wrong at all. This so-called god of Sulame was just a wisp of spirit of the main body, and he had been staying here to help the people in the seedling base control the memory of the seedlings. It was a pity that she thought the seedling base used some high technology before, but she didn't expect that they were just borrowing the hand of this evil god. It is precisely because only a wisp of soul remains here that she can only read the memory and delete part of it. The most important thing is that she can see from it that the god of Sulame is very weak now, and it is estimated that he has only recovered about 1/10 of his strength in his heyday. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, she and others would not be able to recover their memories so easily, and she would not be able to repel the other party with her current ability. But it doesn't matter, she was just one step away from entering the realm of immortality. If she hadn't come to this world inexplicably, she would have survived the Thunder Tribulation and ascended to immortality in modern times. And come here, her cultivation is still suppressed. Fortunately, she found that with the promotion of her supernatural power level, her cultivation and spiritual power are also recovering. Maybe she can make up for her regrets in this world. You will reap what you sow. Although you and I are two different and independent people, I have survived in your place, so your karma is also my karma. Wen Jiu's hair was blown messy by the strong wind, but she just raised her hand to tidy it up casually, and then pushed open the door to leave here. She had tried every way to find the original owner's memory before, but she didn't expect that the other party had experienced so much in his childhood. She had to thank the god of Suleme for helping her read the original owner's previous memories. Otherwise she really didn't know that the other party had suffered so much. As the saying goes, tit for tat. Although she couldn't find the white-clothed people who conducted experiments on the original owner for the time being, most of the seedling breeders in the seedling base were related to them. Sooner or later, she would get back the account. Ahem. Why didn't the number 9 seedling come out with you? Wen Jiu had just closed the door behind her when she heard the voice of the Star Lord. It seems that after the spirit of the god Suleme dissipated, the punishment that was previously imposed on the other party also disappeared. Hearing this, she only replied with a cold face, "The Lord has given me guidance. If there is more, you don't need to ask, right?" She was originally ready to fight as soon as she came out, but she didn't expect that the Star Lord in front of her and the seedling master next to her seemed to have no idea what happened. It seems that they trust the ability of the god Suleme very much and don't worry at all that she will hurt the gods they believe in. The most important thing is that she also read 2 pieces of information from it. That is, the god Suleme can only come when the believers pray, and the other party cannot use divine power to tip off. Otherwise, with her rude words and her attack on the other party, I'm afraid that she would have been smashed by the soldiers outside with laser guns. Perhaps the former god Suleme had the ability to surpass all living beings, but the other party has not yet recovered the lost godhood that was stripped away. And the spirit that has been recovered is not enough to revive it, so she doesn't need to worry about being retaliated now. Forget it. Liang Yi hadn't recovered from the punishment just now. He didn't want to be harmed by his pig teammates again. Hey, aren't you going to take the number 9 seedling back to the headquarters? If you want to leave, leave quickly. Don't get in my way here. He wanted to beat up this seedling nursery, but the other party was sent by the higher-ups to monitor him. Okay, Star-Lord, I'll leave with the number 9 seedling immediately. The seedling nursery took a look at the pendant in his hand. I hope the Star-Lord can hand this thing over to the adults. I just used up the adults' divine power. Because the god of Suleme left a wisp of divine thought here to guard, the other party divided a lot of divine power and injected it into the shadow crystal. Liang Yi then sent people to make pendants from those crystals and gave them to those who he thought were important. If someone encounters something and stimulates the divine power in the pendant, it can be sent back to Liang Yi after use, and then he will hand it over to the god of Suleme for re-injection. It's just that the god Suleme was asleep most of the time, so the nursery masters who got the pendant didn't dare to use it easily. It was because of the sudden incident just now that the nursery master activated the pendant. After all, this seedling number 9 was specifically requested by the higher-ups, and the god Suleme also said that he wanted to meet him. So he didn't dare let Liang Yi do anything to him, lest he be implicated and punished together. Got it. You take the seedling number 9 away quickly. Liang Yi took the pendant and limped back to his throne. Don't forget to tell the headquarters about my contribution when the time comes, and be careful to avoid the people from the 1st military district when you go out. After speaking, the nursery master took Wen Jiu and quickly left the castle. They had to leave Brickstar and go to the headquarters of the 3rd military district before the people from the 1st military district found out, so as not to get into trouble. Today's second update has also been delivered smoothly. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030. Chapter 611. I'm here to blow up your lair 1. DS-0305 has arrived at the Holder star system and will make a space jump in 15 minutes. Headquarters received it. DS-0305 has entered the range of Doris star and requested headquarters to open the star track connection. Connection is allowed. Please receive the opened star track position. Wen Jiu was looking out the window with a sleepy face. When she just boarded the interstellar spaceship, she was given an injection of anesthesia by the medical soldier in charge of escorting her. So now when she was about to arrive at the headquarters of the 3rd military region, she slowly woke up from her fatigue and sleepiness. Seeing her wake up, the soldiers who had originally relaxed strengthened their attention at this moment, fearing that she would do something out of line. Sir, there is a short message from Brickstar. Wen Jiu wanted to observe the interior of the interstellar spaceship, and then she caught a glimpse of a soldier running to the front. So she observed quietly Her hands were locked with a new pair of handcuffs, and there was an electronic collar around her neck. It was like a flower blooming twice, and she was imprisoned in a different place. But she is not the same as before. She was caught because of her carelessness, but now she deliberately offered herself to the enemy. As the saying goes, you can't get tiger cubs without going into the tiger's den. It's boring to just blow up the seedling base. If you want to blow it up, you have to blow up the headquarters of the 3rd Military Region. Looking at the gorgeous and exaggerated decorations around, this should be the main cabin of the Interstellar spacecraft, which is the most expensive first-class cabin in the legend. It seems that she has been treated well this time. The main cabin has a large space and there are many shelters. While thinking about where to hide, Wen Jiu looked in the direction where the soldier disappeared. If nothing unexpected happens, that should be the cockpit, which is quite convenient for her. And the other party did not verify when entering the cockpit just now, which means that this interstellar spacecraft is probably just a small one. Because the cockpits of medium-sized and above interstellar spacecraft generally require iris or fingerprint verification before entering. And when she and the seedling nurse left the castle, the Star Master also told the other party to avoid people from the 1st Military Region, so she can be more sure that this spaceship is small or ultra small. Wen Jiu remembered that the passenger capacity of a small interstellar spaceship was about 40 people. If they wanted to avoid being discovered by other military districts, they could only use a spaceship smaller than a small interstellar spaceship. However, the carrying capacity of an ultra-small interstellar spaceship was not much, and the transport of seedlings had to avoid the eyes and ears of other military districts. In this way, the number of soldiers responsible for the escort was most likely around 20. How is this possible? The soul of that adult cannot dissipate. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but turn his head to look at the place where the voice came from. Although she was now locked in a pair of handcuffs, there was nothing else that could restrict her from moving freely here. It seemed that these soldiers responsible for the escort did not take her seriously at all. Reporting to the commander, this is the news from Brickstar. When the voice of the soldier who ran to report the news fell, a man in uniform holding a pistol came over. Unlike those soldiers wearing protective hoods, he wore a bright red hat on his head, and there was a 4-petal red flower in the middle of the hat. It looked weird. 9 Seedling, did you damage the shadow crystal ball on Brick? He raised his pistol and put it against Wen Jiu's forehead. Sir, if you are talking about the crystal ball I know. Wen Jiu deliberately dragged out his voice. I'm sorry, it is. She stopped talking here. Anyway, this man didn't dare to kill her, so it just happened to help her get a chance. It's really a pillow when you are sleepy. Hearing this, the officer standing in front of her directly pulled the safety. 9 Seedling, you are suspected of violating the regulations of the 3rd Military District. I'm interrogating you in accordance with the regulations. So don't think about playing tricks here. Once your evidence is confirmed, I will deal with you in accordance with the regulations. After he finished speaking, Wen Jiu didn't rush to answer. She remembered the electronic broadcast she heard when she just woke up. It should be almost at the headquarters of the 3rd Military District now. I didn't expect that this time point was so perfect, and it was worth the medicine she took before boarding the interstellar spacecraft. It seems that Stephanie is still very reliable in some aspects. 6, 7, 8. She counted the soldiers in front of her with half-closed eyes, as if she didn't care that she was pointed at by a gun. Seeing this, the officer couldn't help but increase his strength, and the gun was about to leave mark on her forehead. Number 9 Seedling, please tell the truth about what you did in the castle. To be honest, no one likes to be pointed at the head by a gun. So Wen Jiu slightly tilted his head and looked at him and said, Sir, I'm sorry that it was indeed me who damaged the crystal ball. After saying this, the officer standing in front of her couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Even the soldiers sitting on standby were a little stunned. After all, they never thought that someone could damage the crystal ball. Because all the soldiers serving in the 3rd Military Region knew that the god Suleme they worshipped had supreme power. But this god generously separated many strands of his soul and hid them in these crystal balls, made of shadow crystals, so that they could be blessed. So they couldn't imagine that someone could damage the crystal ball. DS-0305 has successfully connected to the star track and is expected to arrive at the headquarters in 7 minutes. Headquarters received. What's wrong with you? The officer stood there in a daze before he finished speaking. After a moment, he put down his pistol in a daze and took out the instrument for unlocking handcuffs from his wisdom ring. Seeing this, the soldiers who had been observing the situation raised their laser guns one after another. But at the moment, when they all raised their laser guns, the idea of stopping the attack suddenly flashed through their minds. It was at this moment of gap that the officer pressed the button to unlock the handcuffs uncontrollably. Wen Jiu quickly snatched the pistol from his hand and fired 3 shots at his abdomen. The harsh sound of the gun immediately brought the soldiers back to their thoughts. Wen Jiu shot the soldier closest to him again. The other party dropped the laser gun on the ground while screaming in pain. She raised her leg and hooked the laser gun with a kick. Then she put the belt on herself and dodged the attacks of other soldiers. Attention everyone. Seedling number 9 is launching an attack. Cabin A01 requests support. The electronic broadcast sounded instantly in the Interstellar spacecraft. At the same time, Wen Jiu aimed at the pursuing soldiers at a very fast speed. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots. In the blink of an eye, 3 soldiers fell to the ground holding their wounds. The burning smell brought by the laser filled the air. I still have to thank the god Sulame for letting her learn how to use mental power. This is the 3rd update of the day. Thank you all for your support again. The author will continue to work hard. 030. Chapter 612. I'm here to blow up your lair too. Bang, bang, bang. Several gunshots rang out suddenly, and sparks flew when the laser gun was fired. Wen Jiu, relying on her petite body, dodged in the main cabin very flexibly. In fact, in terms of combat ability and actual combat experience, she is definitely far inferior to these soldiers. It's just that she has an innate advantage in body shape, and there is not much space left in the main cabin, so for a while, apart from madly shooting, they couldn't find a way to catch her for the time being. Attention, everyone. Seedling number 9 is launching an attack. Cabin A01 requests support. The mechanical electronic sound of the broadcast sounded again in each cabin. Wen Jiu took advantage of the gap when the soldiers were charging the laser guns, slightly turned sideways at the seat she used as a cover, and aimed the pistol in her hand at the nearest soldier. Bang! A shot hit, and the other party covered his abdomen and fell to the ground suddenly. Seeing this, the remaining 6 soldiers instantly took out their pistols and switched positions to form an encirclement with Wen Jiu as the center. Although the laser gun does not need to switch magazines, it needs to be recharged after the energy is consumed before it can be used again. They are still 1 minute away from completing the recharge, so they can only switch to ordinary pistols for combat. The main reason is that Wen Jiu's hiding position is too tricky. If they use their superpowers to attack, they may accidentally break the inner wall of the spacecraft, so they have to use weapons to capture him first. Wen Jiu, who was hiding behind the seat, has been observing their movements. Just when those soldiers wanted to switch positions to surround her, she suddenly rolled out from behind the seat and shot sharp blades at her front and back. This unexpected attack directly shattered their shields, and she seized this opportunity to hold the laser gun and shoot at the front. 6, 5, 4. She shot the laser beam at a very fast speed, and then rolled over and rolled behind the left seat. There are only 3 soldiers from the 3rd military region left in the entire main cabin. They never thought that their comrades would fall to a little girl. In terms of combat capability, all of their soldiers are level 6 psychics, 1 level higher than the number 9 seedling. The soldiers who transport the seedlings are different each time, and the seedling base will select them according to the situation of the seedlings. Wen Jiu is only a level 5 psychic, and she has chosen to develop in the direction of a medical soldier, and she has not shown any tendency to attack people. Therefore, the danger level assessed by the seedling base is not high, so the people below only treat her as a normal transport. But she didn't expect that she would master the method of using mental power to invade by chance. Generally, there will be only 1 commander in a team. Unfortunately, the commander of their seedling transport team is the officer who just pointed a gun at Wen Jiu. Therefore, these soldiers are now like headless flies, and they have to report to the headquarters while fighting, so as to prevent the interstellar spacecraft from getting into trouble when landing at the headquarters port. Cabin A01 requests the personnel in Cabin A02 to provide quick support. Wen Jiu's previous analysis was not wrong at all. This spaceship is indeed a special ultra small one. But even such a small spaceship was designed with 2 floors. The first floor is naturally the cockpit and the main cabin, and the second floor is the auxiliary cabin and the spare cargo cabin. According to the normal transportation method, the seedling will be kept in the auxiliary cabin, and there will be several soldiers guarding it. But the arrogant officer took her up from the second floor auxiliary cabin without authorization, in order to keep a better eye on her, but he didn't expect that this move would bring him a fatal disaster. Wen Jiu checked the energy of the laser gun, while listening to the movement outside the cabin door. It was almost time now, and the soldiers on the second floor were about to come up, so she had to hurry up and kill the rest before that. So she changed the mode of the laser gun from automatic to burst shooting, which would save more energy and make it easier for her to shoot. But before she could make a move, a soldier suddenly threw a flash bomb, trying to interfere with her vision. Switched to the tranquilizer gun to take down the number 9 seedling. These soldiers wore special helmets and were naturally not disturbed by the flash bomb. Wen Jiu only felt that her eyes were full of white light and there was a sharp buzzing sound in her ears. But she did not panic because of this. Instead, she showed a determined smile. She simply closed her eyes and used her mental power to perceive, and a fine spider web suddenly unfolded in her mind, and the 3 approaching soldiers were like flies. Hurry. The effect will disappear in 5 seconds. The soldier walking in the front quickly found Wen Jiu's position, anesthesia gun. Quick. Just as he walked to Wen Jiu's side, the other party suddenly pulled his wrist and shot him in the elbow at the same time. The feeling of pain and numbness swept through his brain in an instant, and he was grabbed by the wrist by Wen Jiu before he could react. That was the position of his other 2 teammates. Bang, bang, bang. With a few extremely sharp gunshots, the teammates in front of him also fell down. Seeing this, he immediately became ruthless and wanted to break free from Wen Jiu's control. But the next second, his thinking stopped for a moment. Bang. Wen Jiu folded his right hand and pointed it at his chin. After a gunshot, scarlet blood instantly stained the ceiling. Pa. The blood with a fishy smell dripped onto the ground. Wen Jiu silently counted the bodies lying on the ground. In just a few minutes, she cleared all the soldiers in the main cabin. She picked up a pistol and put it behind her waist and then wiped the blood off her face casually. Just now, she was too close to the last soldier, and the other party's blood was spilled after being shot in the head, and a lot of it was stained on her face and body. But it doesn't matter, now is not the time to worry about these. She picked up 2 laser guns from the ground, and after confirming that the mode was automatic shooting, she took one in each hand and aimed it at the closed door. 3, 2, 1. Wen Jiu read the countdown in a pleasant voice. Just when the last number fell, the door leading to the outside of the main cabin finally opened, and thick smoke drifted in. Seeing this, she just pressed the trigger carelessly. The crackling sound of the laser guns and the panicked voices intertwined, and the scarlet blood roses suddenly bloomed in the smoke. Soon, the fog dissipated, and the sound disappeared. Wen Jiu threw the exhausted laser gun on the ground, then picked up a newly charged laser gun, and walked slowly to the cockpit step by step. DS-0305 will arrive at the headquarters port in 1 minute. Request the headquarters to send personnel to the port for support. Because all interstellar spacecraft have autopilot systems, there is almost nothing for the soldiers in the cockpit to do. It is precisely because of this that only one pilot was arranged to transport the seedlings this time. He had just conveyed the last message to the headquarters when a laser gun was pressed against the back of his head. Thank you for leading the way for me and my teammates. May the god Suleme bless you to hell. This is the first update of today, please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Whisper. The author did not give Jiu a cheat code. Jiu was able to defeat these people for a reason. For example, Jiu can consume energy infinitely to make a shield, while these ordinary people cannot do this, and it takes a certain amount of time for them to construct the shield. Also, Jiu performed very well in the nursery base before, which made those masters mistakenly think that she was not very dangerous, so the warriors sent out to escort her were not very strong. There are traces to follow in many places, and no cheat codes were given casually, lest some little angels think it is too exaggerated, so I will explain it specifically. 030. Chapter 639 here. To blow up your lair 3. Report to Major Zhang. Dire 07 and Dire 08 have entered the range of Doris. Okay, you can leave. Two slender men were sitting in the spacious main cabin. One of them picked up a teacup and skimmed off the foam with the white porcelain cup lid. He skimmed while looking at the scene outside the window. The vast and mysterious universe always fascinates people. Mr. Liu, I didn't expect that the friend you mentioned is quite reliable. Zhang Qingyan blew the hot air and then took a sip of tea. 07 and 08 have entered the range of Doris. We will reach it after another space jump point. He was originally sent by the 1st Military Region to escort students. He had been driving a starship outside Brickstar on standby. He thought that this trip to Brickstar would end in boredom, but he received a message from this young Master Lu early in the morning. The other party said that Brickstar would secretly open a star track during the day and asked him to arrange 2 medium-sized interstellar spacecraft to follow and investigate. At that time, he thought that this young Master Lu was joking. How could the people from the 3rd Military Region dare to cheat under their noses? Unexpectedly, the people he arranged sent a message at noon saying that a star track had been opened in the northwest direction of Brickstar, and a specially made ultra-small interstellar spaceship had also left. So he quickly followed the other party's previous instructions and sent out 2 medium-sized interstellar spaceships from the starship, secretly following the back of the 3rd Military Region to investigate. Well, let 07 and 08 report their situation in time. Liu Yan rarely felt like a stone hanging on his heart. He talked with Wen Jiu for a long time last night, and the other party revealed a lot of useful information to him. However, this information was not given for free, but had to be exchanged with his chips. Although I really want to wait until the day after tomorrow to leave with you in peace, I don't think the people of the 3rd Military Region will sit still and wait for death. Moreover, I have been in close contact with other seedlings recently, and you also came here to see me tonight. I'm afraid that the people of the seedling base will find a way to send me away in the next 2 days to prevent me from taking other seedlings with your Imperial Capital Military Academy. How is it impossible? They can conduct experiments for so long under the nose of your 1st Military Region, so they must have some means that you don't know about to conceal it. Facts have proved that what Wen Jiu said is right. People from the 3rd Military Region dared to conduct human experiments under the nose of the 1st Military Region, so why didn't they dare to transfer Wen Jiu to another place in front of them? Young Master Lu, if this operation is completed, I hope you can help me in front of Chief Lu. Zhang Qingyan couldn't help but say it after thinking for a long time. He has been in the position of major for too long, and finally waited for the people above to retire, but another major also wanted to compete with him for this opportunity. It was also because of this that he volunteered to escort the students of the Imperial Capital Military Academy. He thought that if he could get closer to young Master Lu, and the other party would mention it to the head of the Lu, then the opportunity for promotion would be secured. However, young Master Lu was as cold and indifferent as the rumors said, and he had never found a chance to please him. Unexpectedly, he finally got the opportunity given by God. Although this action violated the regulations of the 1st Military Region, and was not within the scope of their escort team, young Master Lu would be there to support him, even if the sky fell, so he was not worried about being punished by the people above. As the saying goes, danger always accompanies opportunities. Besides, the discord between the 1st Military Region and the 3rd Military Region has long been known to everyone, so it is normal for them to break into the headquarters planet of the 3rd Military Region this time. Moreover, before leaving, he was called by Admiral Lu to talk, and he knew that this time he was not only to escort the students of the Imperial Capital Military Academy, but also to listen to young Master Lu's arrangements and help him complete the confidential mission. So he agreed to young Master Lu's request and carried out this activity according to his arrangements. Hearing this, Lu Yan, who was in deep thought, raised his eyes coldly. Seeing this, Zhang Qingyuan couldn't help but feel an inexplicable tension, as if the person sitting in front of him at this moment was not young Master Lu, but Lu Wenhu, who had many tricks and was firmly sitting at the head of the Federation. Fortunately, the next second, his men suddenly ran in and broke this terrible sense of oppression. Report to Major Zhang. We are about to make a space jump, and at the same time, 07 has sent the latest news. After saying that, he clicked on the light screen next to him, and the image from 07 immediately appeared on it. I saw a specially made ultra-small spaceship parked at the port, just when the soldiers of the 3rd Military Region wanted to go forward to surround it. The spaceship suddenly rose from the ground and turned on the laser cannon to bombard it crazily. Because once a spaceship is connected to the star track cannot be closed by conventional means, so the 07 and 08 they sent landed on Doris Star smoothly. But they didn't expect that the ultra-small spaceship would suddenly take off and bombard the port. Therefore, their spaceship, which had not yet stopped, instantly increased its altitude and silently observed everything happening below from the port. Is the pilot of this spaceship crazy? Zhang Qingyuan couldn't help but sigh after watching it. Does this count as a flood that has flushed the Dragon King Temple? He didn't understand why this ultra-small spaceship fired, but Lu Yan, who knew Wen Jiu's plan, was very clear. The other party had a particularly strong hatred for the 3rd Military Region. Not only did they threaten to blow up the Brick Star, which was a nursery base, but they also said they would attack the headquarters planet of the 3rd Military Region. At first, he just thought that Wen Jiu was joking with him to vent his anger, but he didn't expect that the other party really wanted to blow up the headquarters planet of the 3rd Military Region. The key is that Wen Jiu didn't just say it, she really risked her life to do it. For this, Lu Yan shook his head slightly inside. It's really bold. At first, he thought that Wen Jiu was just a naughty and competitive girl, but now he found that the other party was not the kind of character he imagined. Hey, Master Lu, what did you say just now? I was a little distracted and didn't hear it clearly. The main reason was that Zhang Qingyuan's attention was all on that video just now. He was very curious about why this ultra-small spaceship launched an attack. Doris is the headquarters planet of the 3rd Military District. This ultra-small spaceship bombed a landing port, which was tantamount to taking off pants and peeing at someone else's door. They didn't dare to do this in the 1st Military District. Even if everyone knew that they had a grudge against each other, they had to take into account the existence of other military districts and the interference of the Federation. Even if the current person in power in the 1st Military District was Lu. Nothing. Lu Yan pretended to look away unintentionally. He was actually acting on his own this time, but if he could find evidence that the 3rd Military District was still doing human experiments in one fell swoop, he could atone for his sins. Just when he and Zhang Qingyuan were thinking differently, another person ran in to report the real-time situation. Today's second update was also delivered on time. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030, whispering. Speaking of which, there are crazy hints of double monthly tickets recently. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 614, Do Not Disturb. I'm Going Crazy 1. The gorgeous and romantic rose-red smoke filled the air endlessly. The rich fragrance of blooming flowers mixed with the smell of blood, and countless rose petals danced with the burning flames. Team after team of soldiers from the 3rd Military Region continued to attack, but these attacks were either dodged by their targets, or blocked by the protection activated by the other two spaceships. Port UK-31 requested rapid support from the headquarters. Spaceships from other military regions are attacking. The commander looked anxiously at his soldiers falling one after another. He couldn't imagine that this mere level 5 psychic had such a powerful force. Water psychics, please heal the wounded in time. Fire and gold psychics activate psychic attacks. Others, aim your firepower at the target and shoot. He continued to use his mental power to command other soldiers, and at the same time, he had to use his perception to predict the target's attack. Time passed by minute, and he felt exhausted, but he had to hold on here until reinforcement arrived. Why hasn't the superpower in front of him exhausted his energy yet? Bright dahlias bloomed on his soldiers, announcing that all the soldiers had lost their lives. Endless anger continued to burn in his chest, but the only thing he could do was to continue to persevere, trying to predict the target's next move and strive to make his soldiers hit the opponent. No 61. Now use the laser gun to shoot at the left side of the target. His voice rang in the mind of soldier number 61, and the other party decisively raised the laser gun in his hand and did it. The next second, the light blue light finally hit the target's left arm. Well done, number 61. But just as he finished praising soldier number 61, a dahlia bloomed on the other's chest, and scarlet blood gushed out. My hands are numb. Wen Jiu was standing on the high tower of the port at this moment, watching the rose petals fluttering. His white gold hair had long been stained with sticky blood and mixed into a ball, and the dark green uniform he was wearing was also wet with blood and stuck to his body in a mess. She looked at her left arm nonchalantly, which was just a small hole made by the laser gun. She first tore off the corner of her coat and wrapped it around her, and then flexibly dodged the rain of attacks. It would be difficult to completely dodge it with her own strength, but fortunately Lu Yan did what he said and sent 2 medium-sized spaceships, which had been silently helping her block the attacks. In addition, she used her own perception to dodge, so it was still difficult for those soldiers to hit her. It was just that the fight lasted a long time, and her left eye bloomed again, and even roses appeared in her hair. Wen Jiu once again dodged the fireball that attacked her, and at the same time she used her perception to find the person who launched the attack. Quick! Concentrate firepower to attack the target. The support team from the headquarters will be here soon. After the commander of this team gave the order, he condensed several fireballs and threw them at Wen Jiu. Although his ability level was only level 5, his mental level was in the upper middle level. In addition, he had predicted the other party's behavior just now, so he was now more confident and immediately issued an order, wanting to catch this rampant little girl in one fell swoop. However, just as he threw the fireball at Wen Jiu, the other party suddenly disappeared from his perception. The next second, the soldiers guarding in front of him were suddenly attacked by several vines, and the eye-catching roses with sharp thorns pierced through their chests. Amid their miserable screams, their flesh and blood suddenly began to turn black, and then turned into dry bones, as if the blood had been sucked dry. Seeing this, he couldn't help but panic for a moment. It was also in this short moment that the disappeared Wen Jiu suddenly appeared again. The other party pressed the cold muzzle of the gun against his abdomen, like an innocent little girl who wanted a toy. May the god of Sulame bless you, and don't be an accomplice to the tiger in your next life. After speaking, Wen Jiu pulled the trigger with an indifferent expression. These soldiers of the 3rd military region were not innocent at all, because they had been helping those people do experiments. There were even people who had been experimental subjects who, when they grew up, helped the 3rd military region to continue to harm other children, so the 4 words accomplices to the evil were more suitable for them. Bang, bang, bang. The soldiers who lost their commander soon realized the problem, so they madly attacked Wen Jiu. She could only use her mental power to invade again, so that these soldiers temporarily forgot her existence. Taking advantage of this gap, she quickly found a place with many shelters to hide. But she was busy attacking, dodging, and defending, and she didn't notice that her grey-blue eyes were turning into a strange silver white. At the same time, a pair of animal ears appeared out of thin air from Wen Jiu's head, and a long tail mixed with grey and white fell behind her. Her running speed also suddenly increased at this moment, as if she had turned into a sprinter and ran non-stop. Growing ears again. Why is there a tail this time? Wen Jiu relied on this speed to find a place surrounded by metal boxes as a cover before the mental power invasion completely failed. Her plan actually came out of nowhere, mainly because Stephanie made her realize that she was very special to the seedling base and the research institute. So she guessed that the people from the 3rd military district would hinder her from taking the opportunity to run away with the people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy. So she proposed this bold plan to Luyan. She could help the other party testify in the federal court, and she could also lead other seedlings to be witnesses. The other party actually didn't want to agree to her plan because it was too dangerous and too crazy, and no one could guarantee that she could predict success. So Luyan only said that he would go back and think about it, but if she made up her mind, he would help. After all, if the seedling base really transferred Wen Jiu, it would basically confirm the crime of conducting human experiments, and then the 1st military district would be justified to launch an attack. But this plan was too much of a gamble, and she couldn't guarantee that everything would be as she expected. Maybe God couldn't stand it anymore. At least the plan has been going smoothly so far, and it's smoother than she thought. Boom boom boom. A strange sound suddenly came over here, but Wen Jiu's mental strength had not recovered yet, so she could only stick her head out slightly to check. I saw one mecha after another stopped in the air, and several small combat spaceships were in place. It seemed that the people of the 3rd military region were determined to fight back. Seeing this, Wen Jiu actually meditated very calmly. She could destroy a few mechas and spaceships by herself. Thinking of this, she sighed to herself. It's over. I can't seem to stop my madness. Have I been infected by Stephanie? This is the 3rd update of the day delivered on time. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. Chapter 615 Do Not Disturb. I'm going crazy too. Using mental power to attack, defend, perceive, etc. is completely different from using mental power to open the wisdom ring. Therefore, most people need to receive systematic training before they can master other uses of mental power. Wen Jiu was a blessing in disguise. When the god of Sulame used divine power to invade his memory before, he not only recovered the original owner's memory, but also learned how to use mental power. Although Wen Jiu has mastered the use of mental power, he can use it to invade and interfere with the thinking of those warriors, and can also perform ranged perception to avoid dangerous attacks. But she is not the kind of person who doesn't know her own strength, and it is too exaggerated to fight mecha with her physical body. So she still hid under the cover of the metal box, and did not rush out to meet the enemy's attack. After all, she has messed up this port. If she goes out now, she will be attacked directly by mechas and spaceships. She is still young, she still wants to be the richest man, and she doesn't want to die here. After a moment, the mechas parked in the air lined up to the left and right, leaving only a few red heavy mechas parked in the center. The leading mecha suddenly flew forward, and a deep male voice sounded at the same time. Is this the gift from the 1st military region? Or has Chief Lu finally stopped sitting still after so many years? As soon as the voice fell, the 2 medium-sized spaceships that had previously protected Wen Jiu did not respond, but they turned on the spacecraft's special protection mode at the same time. Seeing this, Fu Yizi, who was sitting in the mecha, half squinted his eyes and then used his mental power to open the range coverage. No 150 to 180 keep the mecha driving state and switch the attack mode to the strafing machine gun standby. Number 181 to 201 use heavy mechas to carry out defense, and you must be ready to fight at any time. The rest of you immediately disarm your mechas and use your superpowers to find the rat hiding on the roof of the Brilliant warehouse. He had said long ago that he would strengthen the defense of the Brilliant port, but those old stubborn people just wouldn't listen. They always thought that no one dared to invade Dora's planet. Now, the world has been turned upside down by a kid with only level 5 superpowers. The other party even brought in the spacecraft of the 1st military region. I don't know what the group of soldiers responsible for transporting the seedlings are doing. They are really useless. They almost broke the defense of their Brilliant port. Hurry up, scouts, report the situation to the headquarters immediately, and let the research institute pay attention to hiding. Fu Yizi gave the orders that should be issued, and then expanded the coverage area to start sensing. He must find the little mouse that stirred up the water, and then let the other party taste all his torture methods. So he slowly closed his eyes, and as time passed, he finally found the specific location of Wen Jiu. No. He opened his eyes with some doubts. Hasn't this seedling been tested yet? How can it have the mutated appearance of an experimental plant? Although he is not the person in charge of the transportation of seedlings, he has always been in charge of the overall command of Brilliantport, so he knows a lot about the seedling base. For example, the number 9 seedling that will be transported today, he has a copy of the other party's information in his hand. But he clearly remembered that it was the first time for the number 9 seedling to come here. How could the other party have the mutated appearance unique to experimental plants when it has not undergone the necessary surgery to become a plant? For years he just thought of this when he suddenly heard a message from the scout. Report to Commander Fu. We have detected a starship from the 1st Military District trying to illegally connect to the star track of Doris. Hearing this, he couldn't help but frowned. What are those rubbish at the nursery base doing? How can they transport seedlings and be discovered by the 1st Military District? But now is not a good time for him to ask questions. He can only calmly say that he already knows and then quickly open the communication to report the situation to the headquarters. However, just as he reported the situation to the headquarters, he received a new message from the scout. Report to Commander-in-Chief Fu. The starships of the 1st Military District. Tell the tower to quickly strengthen the defense of the star track and don't let the starships of the 1st Military District connect successfully. Commander-in-Chief Fu. It's not good. Our star track is being attacked by multiple starships. The tower has currently detected 8 starships from the 1st Military District. Upon hearing this, a flash of surprise flashed across Fuya's eyes. Because he remembered that the people at the seedling base had sent intelligence before, saying that only 1 starship from the 1st Military District came to this military academy event, so he didn't put the starship that was not connected to the star track in it. But he never expected that the 1st Military District would launch 8 starships to attack at the same time, which was a clear sign of a quarrel with their 3rd Military District. So he asked the headquarters for military support while turning the mecha around and flying towards the brilliant warehouse. All this was caused by that little mouse, and he didn't believe that he couldn't kill this little girl. At the same time, Wen Jiu had long noticed that people were constantly running to the roof, so she had been hiding under the cover of the metal box. She held a laser gun she had picked up in each hand and a pistol on her waist just in case, while she continued to construct a shield to wrap herself. Zzzz. Just as she was about to flip over the metal box in front of her, a hot laser suddenly fell down and cut the metal box in front of her in the blink of an eye. After the huge metal box was cut in half by the laser, liquid melted by the high temperature began to flow out from the middle. Seeing this, she couldn't help but look up to find the direction where the laser had shot from before. If she had been a little more anxious to flip over the metal box, she would have been roasted or even charcoal roasted. Not far from her, a heavy mecha was parked. The bright red paint and the huge green leaf pattern made it clear that it was a special combat mecha for the soldiers of the 3rd Military Region. Although Wen Jiu's first task now was to hide herself and wait for Lu Yan to bring people to the 3rd Military Region to support her, she had always adhered to the idea that revenge must be taken. Others hit her in the face, and she really couldn't stand it. In addition, the animal gene in her body was activated at this moment, and the bloodthirstiness and madness in her mind suppressed her rationality, so she had no other thoughts except fighting. So when Jiu jumped onto the metal box on the left, exposing herself to the soldiers who came to besiege her. Good evening, have you eaten? She stared at the soldier who appeared in front of her and then pulled the trigger to shoot a laser at the other party. Zzzz. The sound of the laser gun merged with the notes of flesh and blood bursting, interweaving a thrilling and strange pleasant music. Today's first update has been delivered on time, please check it out. Little Angels. 030 The author wishes everyone a happy May Day. Chapter 616 Do Not Disturb I Am Going Crazy 3. Furious he looked coldly at the figure that kept jumping on the metal box. The depressed mood in his heart added fuel to his burning anger. He originally wanted to shoot the number 9 seedling directly with the laser cannon, but the other party suddenly got out of the pile of metal boxes and wrestled with his soldiers. If he continued to use the laser cannon to attack, it is very likely to accidentally hurt the soldiers he sent. It seems that he underestimated the strength of the number 9 seedling. After all, the other party was able to wipe out 5 teams by himself. If he didn't have some real skills, he would not have survived until now. Those who are now on the roof of the brilliant warehouse, evacuate at full speed. Number 150 to number 155. Turn your attack direction and wait for my order. He still didn't believe that the number 9 seedling could survive safely surrounded by so many mechas. Anyway, there are still so many seedlings in the seedling base, and there are many new ones sent to the research institute. Even if that person pays special attention to the seedling number 9, what does it matter? Anyway, the other party is just an ant-like existence, and the seedlings that have not been used for plant experiments are worthless. It's okay for him to dispose of the seedling number 9 without authorization today. For years he thought about this carefully while listening to the report from the scout. Report to Commander Fu. The tower has temporarily blocked the starship connection of the 1st Military District. The headquarters has also sent 2 battalions to support our brilliant port. At the same time, Major Yi was sent with the True God Soul to help. After listening to these reports, his heart, which had been hanging, finally fell. You must know that Doris Star is the headquarters planet of the 3rd Military District. Even if the 1st Military District wants to invade, it has to think twice. The 13 military districts that make up the Federation are divided according to strength, and their 3rd Military District is actually as strong as the 1st Military District. If the human experiments of the 3rd Military District had not been exposed that year, who knows who would be sitting on the throne of strength now. Report to Commander Fu. All the soldiers on the roof of the brilliant warehouse have evacuated. Upon hearing this, furious he raised his lips nonchalantly. Okay, number 150 to number 155. Follow my direction and attack. After he finished speaking, he switched the laser cannon to a machine gun and started shooting at the roof. Although he wanted to kill the number 9 seedling with a laser cannon, the spaceship of the 1st Military District was still lying it in the air. He didn't know what the people of the 1st Military District wanted to do. If he made too much noise by shooting the seedlings, it would become the 3rd Military District declaring war on the 1st Military District. Then his life would be in danger. After Wen Jiu found that all the soldiers had begun to evacuate, she used vines to construct a vine ladder on the edge of the roof to prevent herself from being besieged by those mechas. Facts proved that what she expected was right. As soon as she jumped onto the metal box in front of her, she suddenly saw the mecha in front of her raised its gun and fired bullets as if they were free. Seeing this, she suddenly jumped up from the metal box and slid in an arc in the air. Then she landed steadily on another row of metal boxes, dodging and quickly constructing a new shield. Fortunately, she didn't need to spend time to construct the shield, and the energy in her body was inexhaustible. So she only got a few bullets in her left arm after running all the way, and a few bullets scratched her uniform, and drops of blood oozed from the torn wound. I give up. Why do you like to focus on my left hand? She gritted her teeth and slid down the vine ladder with her right hand. I'm not going to become Yang Jiu with a broken arm. Although the medical technology in the Interstellar era is very advanced, her left arm was burned by lasers and hit by bullets, and she could hardly feel the pain from her left arm. This situation still made her panic for a moment. So she didn't continue to fight back, but used her increased speed to find a hidden place to hide again. After confirming that it was temporarily safe, Wen Jiu quickly found the medicine powder from her storage ring. Her storage ring was taken away when she boarded the spaceship, and she found it back after knocking down all the soldiers. The pain after the medicine powder was sprinkled on her left arm was particularly intense. She could only grit her teeth and not let herself make a sound so as not to be discovered by the soldiers who were looking for her. These medicine powders were ground from the herbs she had grown before. In order to avoid being discovered and thrown away by the nursery master, she also specially made a few seasoning bottles to store them. After all, she couldn't get access to orthodox medicines, and she didn't dare to make pills at home, so she could only use such simple medicine powders. Speaking of alchemy, she originally wanted to use a furnace to blow up the nursery base, but they didn't have a furnace to use. And there was no pot that could blow up the furnace in the medical soldier's pharmacy class, so over time her obsession with blowing up the base deepened. It was also part of the reason that prompted her to boldly blow up the headquarters of the 3rd Military Region. Although she had not yet bombed the headquarters of the 3rd Military Region, she felt relieved after bombing half of the port. After Wen Jiu spread the powder, she tore off some cloth as a bandage. Her neat uniform looked like a beggar's outfit. However, after the powder relieved the pain, her left arm regained some feeling, and there was no more blood dripping down. Then she changed to another place to hide, while thinking about when her reinforcement would arrive. Report to Commander Fu. Seedling number 9 has disappeared from the attack range. Hearing this, Fu Yizi suddenly felt a headache. It was beyond his expectation that seedling number 9 could escape in this situation. He thought that he would be able to declare the other party dead after the machine gun shooting ended. No 202 to number 232 will temporarily form a team and follow the arrangements of number 234. You must find seedling number 9 for me. Now was not the time for him to continue playing the cat and mouse game, because just a minute ago, the scout suddenly sent a message saying that the starship of the 1st Military Region had successfully and illegally connected to the star track of their glorious port. So he must now divert his attention and concentrate on the arrival of the starship of the 1st Military Region. Young Master Lu, our starship has successfully connected to the star track, and we will land on Doris in 7 minutes. This should have been good news to be happy about, but Zhang Qinggan wiped his sweat at this time. Because in addition to their starship that was supposed to escort the students, there are now suddenly 7 more starships sent by Lu Xi, who are said to be here to assist young Master Lu in completing his mission. By the way, the 2 starships that landed before have been in a defensive state. Do you need me to get them ready for battle? Although he knew early on that they were here to fight this time, this sudden change still surprised him a little. This is the 2nd update of the day. Thank you for the support of the little angels. Thank you to every little angel who follows, votes, and checks in 030 Mua. Chapter 617 Do Not Disturb I Am Going Crazy 4. Hearing this, Lu Yan only responded indifferently. Then he found a pistol from the armory and put it away and picked up a box containing various firearms parts. He assembled it at a speed that was difficult to catch with the naked eye. Before Zhang Qinggan could react, he had assembled this new M82 sniper rifle. Young Master Lu, are you going to play in person? Zhang Qinggan was a little dazed when he saw this. He remembered that this young Master Lu was said to be a genius among commanders, but how could the other party suddenly take out a sniper rifle? Although commanders also have to participate in the battle, almost no commanders can use sniper rifles. After all, with the existence of armed mecha soldiers roaming around, surprise sniping is usually done by them. Most commanders are responsible for command, and at most they drive the mecha to increase firepower, so he really has no way to understand. Yes, Lu Yan still maintained a calm and cold look after the starship lands. Follow my command. This tone that could not be refused made Zhang Qinggan inexplicably feel a sense of awe. Although the army he brought had been following his command, he subconsciously responded without refutation. At this time, on the other side, No 202 to number 222. Follow me to surround from the left, and the rest of you will guard the warehouse entrance on the right. After the words fell, all the soldiers sent to find Wen Jiu took action. Although number 234 could not use mental power to invade, he could use mental power to perceive and roughly perceive the enemy's position. After all, an army will occasionally be scattered. If the commander-in-chief alone supports the team, then once they are scattered by the enemy, they will become a mess. Therefore, each army will select some soldiers with strong mental power and let them practice some unilateral abilities in peacetime. For example, number 234 has been specially trained in mental power perception, so Fu Yizi sent him out as a temporary commander. Report. The target is moving to the 2nd floor of the warehouse. Upon hearing this, number 234 immediately dispatched personnel to pursue. Wen Jiu listened to their movements while running away. Just as she was about to walk into the corner of the stairs, she raised her laser gun and shot without hesitation. Ah! 2 soldiers fell down instantly at the corner, and they were still struggling on the ground. Seeing this, she just smiled slightly and continued to move towards the stairs. But the moment she stepped on the steps, she turned around and shot at the people on the ground. There was no way. Bad guys like her just like to finish off. Bang, bang. Wen Jiu had just fired 2 more shots to ensure the death of the people on the ground, and the soldiers who had been left behind by her caught up. So she decisively threw out the laser gun in her hand that had run out of energy and hit the soldier running in front with a beautiful arc. Keep chasing. Half of the people guarding the warehouse entrance on the right should go up to the 2nd floor. Number 234 pressed the communicator on his collar, and then he looked at his teammates who had lost their breath on the ground. Indescribable grief suddenly surged into his heart. No wonder the people in the army were so disgusted with these experimental subjects, saying that they were all bloodthirsty, cruel, and emotionless monsters. He didn't understand it before, but he understands it now. Damn it. He couldn't help but clench the laser gun in his hand, and then ran quickly to the 2nd floor of the warehouse. After running up to the 2nd floor, Wen Jiu continued to run to the top floor. Although she could wait patiently in the warehouse, she was really a little powerless after a long period of high-intensity fighting. Moreover, the changes in her body became more and more serious. Now she ran like a wolf, using both hands and feet, and her tail was still hanging down and sweeping back and forth, as if sweeping away her natural smell. In this way, she could be sure that she was not injected with dog genes, because her tail would not wag. As she was running wildly and thinking strange thoughts, the power switch of the warehouse was short-circuited or turned off manually, and she suddenly fell into darkness. Now, except for the people guarding the door, everyone else should turn on the night vision mode to search the building. Number 234 turned on the night vision mode with determination. The warehouse they were in was already dimly lit, and now it was even more difficult to see clearly with the power switch turned off. He planned to use this advantage to capture the number 9 seedling. After all, the other party did not have the helmet they were specially equipped with. Just as he was thinking this, he suddenly heard the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground, so he quickly raised his laser gun to explore. But the next second, he was suddenly thrown to the ground. Thank you for your smart command. Goodbye. Wen Jiu grabbed his hands and then held him with a pistol. With a muffled bang, the temporary commander of this team left. Wen Jiu quickly picked up his fallen laser gun and then went to look for the next prey. At first, she was a little worried when darkness came, but it turned out that her night vision ability had improved a lot, and her sense of smell had also inexplicably strengthened at the same time. So after she sensed the position of the commander, she lurked like a wolf. After all, once the team lost its command, it would temporarily become a mess, and she could take this opportunity to escape. The grey-white animal ears stood upright on Wen Jiu's head, and the long and big tail swung back and forth, and it was accidentally stained with some blood. She was sniffing the breath of other soldiers at this moment, and her silver-white eyes were also emitting a faint green light. Anyone who saw it could understand that this was a ferocious wolf. Report to Commander Fu. Number 234 of the dispatched team has lost contact, and the fluorescent ball representing his life has also dissipated. Should we let the remaining soldiers return to the team, or send another commander over? Hearing this, Fu Yizhi, who was staring at the display screen, cursed angrily. It was embarrassing enough for him that all 8 starships of the 1st military region had landed, and now the scouts came to tell him that the soldiers of the dispatched team had left. This was simply adding fuel to his rage. So he gritted his teeth and said, "Send me 3 more teams to support immediately. You must take down the number 9 seedling, understand?" He couldn't attack the 1st military region yet, but the number 9 seedling was like an ant. Wen Jiu originally planned to jump out of the 2nd floor window, but a bunch of soldiers suddenly appeared below, so she had to turn around and run to the roof. It was just that the newly sent commander guessed her idea. After all, the warehouse had been surrounded by them. If they wanted to escape, they had to either break out from the roof or kill all of them. And she had been fighting at a high intensity for so long, it would be difficult to clean up these soldiers again, so she could only choose to try her luck on the roof. Bang, 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 bang. Dozens of soldiers who had climbed up the ladder from the warehouse next door were already standing on the roof. As soon as Wen Jiu broke open the door, she was greeted by extremely fierce firepower. Seeing this, she could only quickly dodge behind the nearest cover. Unfortunately, her good luck seemed to end here. The moment she ran out of bullets, a soldier holding a laser gun broke through the gap on the left side of the cover. It's over. The car has overturned. This thought immediately emerged from Wen Jiu's mind. Swish. At this moment, the sound of a high-speed bullet breaking through the air slid past and directly penetrated the soldier's head. Blood spurted out in a straight line in an instant. She suddenly raised her eyes to look at the spaceship parked in the air, only to see that Lu Yan had just moved the sniper rifle in his hand. This is the third update of the day. Delivered on time. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. 030. Chapter 618. I advise you to surrender 1. Before anyone could react, Lu Yan raised the sniper rifle in his hand and aimed again. Bang, bang, bang. As the sharp sound of bullets broke through the air, the soldiers who wanted to take the opportunity to surround Wen Jiu were shot and fell to the ground one after another. Seeing this, Fu Yizi was so angry that his face twisted in the mecha. He directly turned on the loudspeaker and shouted to the outside world, "Is this what you, the 1st military district, mean? You broke into our 3rd military district headquarters without authorization and shot innocent people in front of everyone. If the 1st military district wants to use this to declare war, then don't blame us, the 3rd military district, for being merciless." However, Lu Yan ignored his words and only skillfully loaded the gun and fired. Damn it. Fu Yizi immediately wanted to command the soldiers to launch an attack, but just when he gave the order to assemble the whole body, he suddenly received an urgent message from the headquarters. So he could only suppress his anger for the time being and let the soldiers who were going to encircle and suppress the number 9 seedling retreat. After all, the research institute was packing up and running away so as not to be discovered by the 1st military region about the human experiment, so he had to attract the attention of these people. And the reinforcements sent by the headquarters of the 3rd military region were still on the way, and their troops in the Brilliant Port were not enough to fight against the 1st military region. If they were to fight against the 1st military region now, they would probably be directly broken through by the other side and march towards the headquarters. The problem at that time would be much bigger than it is now. After Fu Yizi evacuated the soldiers who were encircling the number 9 seedling, he suppressed his anger and spoke in a calm tone. "Since friends from the 1st military region have come from afar, why not let your commander-in-chief come out and talk?" After all, he was the commander-in-chief of the garrison troops in the Brilliant Port, so it was naturally impossible for him to just find a soldier to talk. After the words fell, the starship of the 1st military region floating in the air moved slightly to make way for the spaceship that had been parked on the far left. A starship can accommodate tens of thousands of people and can also carry interstellar spaceships as a backup. And the small interstellar spaceship that Lu Yan was on was specially transferred to after they landed at the Brilliant Port in order to facilitate the search for Wen Jiu. "That, young Master Lu, do you want to talk to their commander-in-chief?" Zhang Qingyan looked obedient, afraid that he would neglect the person in front of him. According to the rules, as the commander-in-chief of this army, it is natural for him to talk to the commander-in-chief on the opposite side. But now the person commanding the team is Lu Yan, so he can only ask the other party for instructions first. Hearing this, Lu Yan just changed the bullets of the sniper rifle and said coldly, "No, you go." He was cold by nature and didn't like to communicate with others, and he didn't come to establish friendship with the 3rd military region. Okay, then I'll go." Zhang Qingyan quickly agreed, then straightened his military uniform and walked towards the command position. Although he was now submissive in front of the Lu family, he could strike hard at the people of the 3rd military region. The fear and trepidation along the way can finally be vented. "I'm Zhang Qingyan, the commander-in-chief of the Silver Shield Army of the 1st military region. I'm here to clean up the traitors in the 3rd military region under the order of General Lu." Hearing this, the anger in Fu Yizi's eyes almost burst out. He shouldn't have expected the people of the 1st military region, not to mention that the other party had sent starships to attack him. So he couldn't help but hit back in a sarcastic tone. "Clean up the traitors? I think you, the 1st military region, should clean up the snow in front of your door first and stop meddling in other military regions' affairs and annoying people." Anyway, now that the situation has become like this, even if there is no war, there will be a verbal battle. Moreover, their third military region and the first military region have been at odds for a long time. Usually, there is no lack of verbal battles during the Federation meetings, not to mention that the two sides meet in private, so it is normal to say some trash talk. It seems that this commander-in-chief is very dissatisfied with our first military district. Zhang Qingyan immediately grasped the key point. In this case, our first military district should discipline them, so that some people will not always think of doing something shameful. Although the first military district's actions this time were indeed too reckless, and there was no particularly legitimate reason to launch an attack, he knew that he only needed to do what Liu Yan said. After all, he was from the first military district, not the third military district, so there was no need to think so much, and he might even be able to take this opportunity to get the position of lieutenant colonel. So what he needed to do now was to find a suitable reason, so that their people could launch an attack, and help Liu Yan complete this mission. Hey, Commander-in-Chief Zhang, are you announcing yourself? He became even more angry after hearing this. Or are you trying to put the blame on our third military district again? This was not the first time that the first military district came uninvited. As early as 3 years ago, they suddenly broke in and landed, and then directly attacked the 3rd Military District's Research Institute, and aroused public anger with those so-called evidences. The 3rd Military District was criticized by all citizens, who said that it was the most inhumane among all the military districts in the Federation. How can their experiments be called inhumane? They are clearly making contributions to all mankind. It would be fine if these damn ordinary citizens did not understand, but the other 12 military districts also expressed contempt for this. They directly disbanded all the soldiers in the 3rd military district and arrested a bunch of people for interrogation and sentencing without asking any questions. In the end, the name of the 3rd military district was retained, but most of the people who participated in the experiment were gone, and the management rights were taken over by some inexplicable people. 3 years passed in a flash, and the 3rd military district finally regained its former glory, but the annoying 1st military district came again uninvited. Thinking of this, he switched the display screen to the position where the number 9 seedling had been previously. The other party seemed to be relieved because of the arrival of the 1st military district, and did not change his position to hide after more than 10 minutes. Seeing this, a trace of viciousness flashed in his eyes. Even if he didn't know what happened at the seedling base, he could roughly guess it by looking at the current situation. I'm afraid that the number 9 seedling has already colluded with the people of the 1st military district and took advantage of the opportunity when the seedling base was transferred to the 3rd military district to find the jump point with the advanced interstellar spacecraft of the 1st military district. Then they wreaked havoc in the brilliant port to attract attention and create an opportunity for the official legion of the 1st military district to land illegally. Although each military district has its own headquarters planet publicly disclosed, you must find a space jump point to enter. For example, their Doris star has multiple space jump points. Before opening the star track each time, the latest jump point will be given to prevent it from being remembered by those who are interested and take the opportunity to break into the headquarters. So under normal circumstances, it is difficult for outsiders to find them here. That is to say, their people were careless when transporting the seedlings this time, so they were sent by the 1st military district to track and find the jump point. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030. Chapter 619. I advise you to surrender to. Wen Jiu ignored the quarrel between the 1st and 3rd military regions because she was in so much pain that she was about to split apart. Moreover, the influence of the animal gene was getting bigger and bigger. She could no longer distinguish colors. Everything she saw was made up of black, white, and gray. Although her eyesight was much better than before, this color blindness was really painful, as if a filter was put on her world. Hiss, why does it hurt so much? Wen Jiu poked her head out from behind the cover. After confirming that all the soldiers around her had evacuated, she found the powder from the storage ring. There were painkillers, hemostatics, and accelerated scab formation. Fortunately, she and Stephanie had been messing around for a long time before she set off, otherwise she would really be in so much pain that she couldn't stand up now. Stephanie was more reliable than she thought. She had a high talent in medicine, but she didn't know why she didn't like to learn related knowledge. Stephanie would rather plant the land in the yard for a day than listen to her say more about how to make potions. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu didn't know whether they did what she said. Her action this time was a gamble of her life, so she did not tell Kao Shishi and others the details, but just asked Stephanie to take them to find number 8. Now that Luyan has brought people from the 1st military district, I believe that No 8's plan is also going smoothly. Just as she hid and recalled while applying medicine, the starship of the 1st military district suddenly switched to combat mode. Since you, the 1st military district, have come to invade without reason, don't blame us, the 3rd military district, for sweeping you away. Fuyazi and Zhang Qinggan were tired of arguing with each other for a long time and finally waited for the news that the reinforcement from the headquarters were about to arrive. He wanted to fire at the starship of the 1st military district right now to relieve his anger of being humiliated and fooled in public. Just as he ordered all the soldiers to start the mecha, he suddenly heard a gentle male voice from the headset. "Commander-in-Chief Fu, how is the situation over there?" Fuyazi knew, as soon as he heard the voice, that the other party was Major Yi sent by the headquarters to support. This Major Yi is not a simple person. It is said that he has just turned 25 and has climbed to the position of major with his own strength and iron-blooded wrist. He is already 30 years old this year, but he is still just a lieutenant. He can only spend his days as the commander of the general army in the Brilliant Port and deal with those who are responsible for transporting the seedlings. Although he is somewhat dissatisfied with this, he still replied respectfully, "Major Yi, the starships of the 1st military region have just switched to combat mode, but they seem to be worried that there is no reason to launch an attack, so we are still in a stalemate." "Okay, then you arrange for us to switch to combat mode as well." Major Yi paused for a moment after saying this. "I heard that the 1st military region came with the seedlings. You immediately pass the information of this seedling to me." Hearing this, Fuyazi couldn't help but take a deep breath, and then he agreed timidly. Now the headquarters of the 3rd military region knows that there is a seedling making a fuss in the Brilliant Port, and it has also attracted people from the 1st military region to break into Doris Star. This incident not only shocked everyone at the headquarters, but also caused the people in the research institute to immediately start packing up the materials, fearing that the situation 3 years ago would reappear. That's why Major Yi was sent with the True God Soul to prevent the people from the 1st military district from forcing their way into the research institute again. Fuyazi thought the situation would continue to be deadlocked, but suddenly he saw the spaceship in the middle began to descend. Boom boom boom. Wen Jiu, who was hiding behind the cover, raised her head and saw a spaceship descending towards the roof. She first glanced at it with great vigilance, and after confirming that the spaceship belonged to the 1st military district, she slightly reduced her vigilance and continued to apply medicine. She had been jumping around in the Brilliant Port for several hours before, and now she was not only physically exhausted, but also a little dizzy due to excessive mental exhaustion. Just as she bandaged her calf with the torn clothes, the interstellar spaceship belonging to the 1st military district also stopped. The interstellar spaceship stopped a few meters away from the roof of the warehouse. Luyan handed over the sniper rifle in his hand, and then jumped down neatly by holding the hatch. Wen Jiu, who was standing behind the cover, saw him jump down, and then stumbled out with blood all over her body. Luyan watched her walk out of the corner against the light, covered in blood and countless scars. This should have been a disgusting and terrifying scene, but he only had an indescribable feeling of heartache. So he strode forward and hugged Wen Jiu into his arms and gently stroked her back with his hand to comfort her. A strange feeling of numbness suddenly came, and Wen Jiu's ears on the top of his head shook unconsciously. But she was extremely tired at this time, and it was rare for her to have someone to rely on, so she leaned her head on Luyan's chest, listening to the other's suddenly accelerated heartbeat. Lu. Young Master Lu, Zhang Qinggan, who was following behind, didn't know what to say. Let's hurry back to the spaceship to avoid a sneak attack from the people of the 3rd Military District. Hearing this, Liu Yan first glanced at Wen Jiu, who was leaning on his arms, then picked him up and walked back steadily. He didn't ignore it when he came down. He specially carried out mental coverage to prevent the people of the 3rd Military District from taking the opportunity to attack. Moreover, the starships of the 1st Military District were all assembled at this time, so he didn't have to worry too much. It was just that Wen Jiu's alienated form surprised him a little. He didn't expect that the other party was actually an experimental subject. From the outside, it seemed that the genes injected were still wolves. Young Master Lu, I just received a message from the scout, Zhang Qingyan hurriedly reported. After returning to the spaceship, the reinforcements sent by the headquarters of the 3rd Military District are coming soon. They were not justified in their attack this time. If they continued to stalemate like this, not only would their mission be difficult to complete, but they would also be made a laughingstock by the 3rd Military District. To put it in a bigger picture, it might even go to the Federation, and then they would suffer. Hearing this, Liu Yan put Wen Jiu on a cushioned chair, then frowned slightly and replied, I see. Has there been any news from the advance army? Yes. The advance army sent a message a minute ago saying that the people from the 3rd Military Region Research Institute were about to escape, and if they attack now, they can still stop them. When he said this, Zhang Qingyan remembered this. Liu Yan is not like Wen Jiu, who acts on his whims. He had already arranged for soldiers to lurk in Doris Star and reported to the headquarters of the 1st Military Region, so now there are 7 more starships attacking. Today's second update has also been delivered on time. Thank you to every little angel for your support and company. 030. Chapter 620. I advise you to surrender 3. Okay, let them attack immediately. Liu Yan's eyes were as calm as water. He took the medicine box from the side, then lifted Wen Jiu's legs and carefully began to apply medicine. Seeing this, Zhang Qingyan always felt as if he knew a shocking secret. Could it be that the confidential mission to be carried out this time is to save the unknown fiancé of young Master Lu? After all, this young Master Lu has always been very mysterious, and the outside world still doesn't know his appearance and name. The soldiers of the 1st Military Region were asked to keep it secret, so it's no wonder that he would imagine in some very strange directions. But if this is true, then the 3rd Military Region is so bold. They even dared to snatch young Master Lu's fiancé. No wonder the other party was so angry that they brought people to attack. But there was one thing that made him feel very strange. How come this little girl had ears on her head, a long and big tail behind her, and a sense of hostility when she looked at people? She doesn't look like a girl from a famous family at all. Could it be that this young Master Lu has a special taste? Just when Zhang Qingyan fell into strange contemplation, he suddenly heard the latest situation from the scout, so he had to give up gossiping and walk towards the cockpit. Liu Yan, I can do it myself. Wen Jiu was quite disgusted with her current state. She was covered in blood and mud, and when she was held by Liu Yan just now, she rubbed his white military uniform red and grey. She felt a little embarrassed just by looking at it. But after her voice fell, the other party did not stop the action in his hand and deliberately slowed down the action of removing the cloth belt. I'm serious, I'll do it myself. Wen Jiu repeated again, I've spent all my energy jumping around here for a long time. You have to help me complete the next plan. She had discussed it with Liu Yan for a long time before. Although the plan was not perfect, things had developed to this point, and what should be done had to be done. After she finished speaking, the other party let go of her ankle, and the cold touch also dissipated at this moment. Okay, I will help you. Liu Yan found a blanket from the interlayer again. Take care of yourself. After saying that, he first draped the blanket over Wen Jiu, and then placed the medical kit in a convenient position for the other party to take, and finally quickened his pace to the cockpit. Seeing this, Wen Jiu breathed a sigh of relief. Although Liu Yan did not ask her about the growth of ears and tails, she always felt that the other party looked at her in a wrong way. Sure enough, she must look very scary now. Fortunately, the flowers that grew before withered, otherwise she really didn't know how to explain it. While thinking, Wen Jiu picked up a pair of scissors and cut open the cloth bandage that he had wrapped casually before. Major Yi, the people from the 1st military region just took away the number 9 seedling. I think they seem to be here for this seedling. Fuyushi on the other side did not relax at all. He had been carefully observing the situation in the 1st military region. Although he didn't know the person who jumped off the interstellar spaceship first, he only needed to know that the 1st military district valued the number 9 seedling very much. Okay, I know. Major Yi's mouth curled up. Then you can start with this seedling. We will arrive in 10 minutes. Hearing this, Fuyushi instantly became beaming, because the opportunity he had been waiting for finally came. So the people of the 1st military district mobilized a large number of troops for this. You broke into our headquarters without any reason. Aren't you afraid that people outside will know? You said you would help us clean up the traitors. I think you are the traitors. You deliberately came here to provoke the friendly relations between our military districts. Commander-in-Chief Zhang, why don't you speak? Are you guilty because of what I said? Just when Fuyushi was enjoying himself with his mouth, Liu Yan was listening carefully to the message from the advance army. Things went better than he expected. The advance army had stopped the personnel of the research institute and used a barrier to block the troops of the 3rd military district. Just when he was about to discuss the next thing with Zhang Qingyuan, he suddenly saw a soldier trembling with Wen Jiu. Seeing this, he hurried forward to help the other party. The next second, he heard Wen Jiu leaning in and whispering, I have something to say, can I say it? She was originally sitting in the main cabin bandaging herself, and Liu Yan also sent a medical soldier with water ability to help. But the words of the commander-in-chief of the 3rd military region were too harsh, and she knew that the 1st military region needed a legitimate reason to attack. Liu Yan was a man who was not good at speaking, so he naturally would not pay attention to these words. But the people he brought needed to fight back, otherwise how could they fight with peace of mind? We can't let the soldiers of the 1st military region think that Liu Yan really came here to save her, otherwise this plan would become a joke. Although there is nothing wrong with saving people, it is a bit like a rage for a beauty to mobilize troops just for her. This was really unbearable for her, so she felt that it was necessary for her to come here to add fuel to the fire. Helping Liu Yan was also helping herself. After all, her dream of blowing up the headquarters of the 3rd military region had not yet been realized. Okay, Liu Yan helped her walk to the command post. What do you want to say? Hearing this, Wen Jiu raised his hand and patted his chest and said, don't worry about me. We will definitely make this 3rd military region obedient today. After the voice fell, Liu Yan couldn't help but glance at the loudspeaker on the operating table. Fortunately, it was not turned on. That, Liu. Although Zhang Qingyuan agreed with the girl's words, he didn't dare to let the other party sit in the command post and speak, and he still had to shout to the people of the 3rd military region. But he didn't know what to say, so he could only frantically hint to Liu Yan to make the other party sober. Love brain is not desirable. Who knew that Liu Yan turned on the loudspeaker on the operating table the next second after receiving his blink signal. Seeing this, he suddenly felt that it was over. Ahem. Hello, Commander Fu of the 3rd military region. Wen Jiu immediately cleared his throat. I don't think the 1st military region broke in here for no reason. You should also speak the truth. I originally lived on an unknown low-level planet, but I didn't know that I was kidnapped by you after a nap. Excuse me, do you know that the federal law states that kidnapping others is punishable by law? Don't say you don't know. If you really don't know, then isn't it reasonable for the 1st military region to send troops to help you eliminate the traitors? But if you know about this, then you still have time to turn yourself in now. When Jiu's words choked Fuyushi speechless. He could only look through the information of the number 9 seedling, trying to find a clue to deal with it. Today's 3rd update has also been successfully delivered. Thanks again to the little angels for their support and love. I also wish you all a happy holiday. 030. Whisper. After all, it is reasonable for Jiu to overthrow a military region, and it will be done almost tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 621 Brickstar 1. Hurry, follow me this way. Number 8 shouted while running breathlessly, and Stephanie and others followed closely behind him. They had been hiding on Star Island for a long time, and finally got rid of the nursery master who was chasing them. I'm so tired. How long do we have to hide here? Zikingai was the first one among them to run out of energy. He was sweating and panting. Can number 6 really steal the bubble summoner? Hearing this, although number 8 was also exhausted, he still nodded affirmatively. You have to believe in number 6. He will definitely steal it. This place is not easy to find. Let's take a rest first. After he finished speaking, Kaioshishi, who had been highly nervous, relaxed a little. Since they went to find Lu Yan in the morning, they started the ultimate tug-of-war with the nursery master. Little bean sprout, do you want some mint candy? Stephanie took out some candy from her waist bag. She first peeled one and threw it into her mouth, and then distributed the rest of the candy to everyone. They only brought some weapons for self-defense this time, and they didn't even dare to bring the storage rings issued by the seedling masters, because they were worried that there would be positioning objects in the storage rings. However, Mengao just shook his head palely. He was so tired that he couldn't even say a word. Seeing this, number 8 took a few deep breaths before speaking. Although Star Island is where the top 10 seedlings live, it is also the most complicated terrain among all floating islands. This feature is both an advantage and a disadvantage for us, but as long as we keep changing positions and hiding, we can avoid being found by those seedling masters. He and number 6 had been exploring the terrain of Star Island a long time ago, in order to take advantage of the terrain on the day of escape. However, Star Island is a floating island built by the seedling base after all. No matter how much they explore, they can't compare with those seedling masters who have maps, so now he can only take others to hide everywhere and move to another location as soon as possible before they feel that they will be found. It was after several repetitions that Zio Kingayu and Mingayu, who were developing into mecha masters, were exhausted. Hush, I think I heard footsteps outside. Kaioshishi couldn't help but lower her panting. Could it be the nursery master who came here? Should we change positions immediately? After listening to her words, number 8 shook his head. No hurry, I don't hear the footsteps of the nursery master. Because the nursery masters in the base are all dressed in uniform, the sounds they make when they walk are very similar, all of which are the creaking sounds of boots stepping on the ground. After he finished speaking, Kaioshishi listened carefully again. Teacher Yun, why didn't you come to inform us when you took people away earlier? We sent a notice to every student. As for why you two didn't follow, I would like to ask you. Fei Junren and Yun Zio were too tired from training last night, so they slept in the room all morning. The latter was called by Teacher Yun to talk in his sleep, and after returning, he continued to fall asleep on the bed. Who knew that, when they woke up, the other people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy disappeared, leaving only the two unlucky guys. The wisdom ring could not be used on Brickstar, and they could not take the initiative to contact the teacher. Later, when Teacher Yun was counting the number of people, he found the problem and ran back to find the two forgotten students. We really didn't receive the notice, Fei Junren answered, while walking behind Teacher Yun. Teacher Yun, if you don't believe it, you can ask Young Xiao. Young Xiao was stunned for a moment when he was suddenly called, but he quickly reacted and said, Uncle, Fei Junren and I really didn't receive it. If we had received it, we would definitely leave, and why would we wait for you here? After listening to their words, Teacher Yun could only shake his head helplessly. As a teacher, how could he not know the temperaments of these two people? One was raised by the Fei family and always loved to be domineering, by relying on his family background. The other was ignored by his sister, because of her busyness, and when she had time later, she had grown up crooked. Fortunately, he just likes to play with his temper, and it's not crooked to an outrageous degree. In general, they are two spoiled students, but their natures are not bad, and they are still within his acceptable range. Little bean sprout, those people outside are from your Imperial Capital Military Academy. Stephanie knew who they were as soon as she heard the voice outside. Do you want to go out and find them now? Ming Yu, who had finally recovered his breath, was a little hesitant. He could have left with Lu Yan on the starship, but the other party told him that there was a mission for him to do, so he took the initiative to stay in this nursery base. If the people of the 3rd Military District seize those seedlings, or forcibly close a star track, and refuse the connection with the outside world, it will be difficult for the 1st Military District to find a space jump point. If the situation on my side goes well, it will be fine. I can force the 3rd Military District to give a jump point. But if I can't solve it here, once all the students of the Imperial Capital Military Academy are evacuated, we may never be able to enter Brickstar again. If you are willing to stay on Brickstar and wait, then we can force a jump point in the name of looking for you. After all, you are a child from the Ming family, and the 3rd Military District dare not neglect the Ming family. Lu Yan has been working for the 1st Military District since he was a teenager. Compared with Wen Jiu's wild imagination, he always lists multiple plans to deal with various situations. In addition to using the communicator to apply for support from the 1st Military District, he also made plans for the people who stayed on Brickstar. The first thing is to arrange for Teacher Yuan to find a reason to take the students away in advance, so as not to be held hostage by the people of the 3rd Military District on Brickstar. Secondly, he found Ming Jiu and hoped that he could cooperate with him, because in this extracurricular activity on Brickstar, only Ming Jiu's family was very influential. Moreover, Ming Wanrao, the head of the Ming family, valued this youngest son very much. If the people of the 3rd Military District really blocked Brickstar, the other party would definitely go to the federal headquarters and attract attention. At that time, it would be justified to ask the 3rd Military District to open the star track. Although the technology of the 1st Military District can forcibly connect the star track, it is easy to cause dissatisfaction from the outside world, especially when they have no reason. And the jump point to Brickstar has been changing all the time. If the people of the 3rd Military District do not cooperate, it will be useless, even if the 1st Military District can forcibly connect the star track. Before leaving, Lu Yan quickly analyzed it for Ming Jiu and told him the task he would do next. But he never forced Ming Jiu from beginning to end, but just told him that, if he didn't want to, he had other plans to implement. So Ming Jiu is still staying in the seedling base purely voluntarily, and he hopes that he can help in this mission. This is the first update of today. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 622 Brickstar 2. Teacher Yun first took Fei Junren and Yun Zio back to the 1st floor, and then turned around and wanted to go into the apartment building to continue looking for Ming Jiu. When he counted the number of people earlier, he found that the other party was also missing, and he was immediately scared and broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't want to be hung in the Imperial Capital Military Academy by the head of the Ming family, so he had to find Ming Jiu, and he didn't know where this child ran off to. The other party had been inseparable from Lu Yan before, so why did he disappear at this critical moment? He heard from Teacher Yuan that Ming Jiu had a good relationship with the students in the base. Could it be that he was thinking about leaving Brickstar and ran to say goodbye? Teacher Yuan, what are you going to do? Fei Junren thought they would leave soon, but turned around and saw Teacher Yuan walking towards the elevator. Hearing this, Teacher Yuan finally pulled himself out of his thoughts. Wait for me in the lobby on the 1st floor for a while. I'll go find classmate Ming now. He wasn't there when I counted the number of people just now. Huh. Ming Jiu didn't follow the main group. Yun Zio immediately showed a look of watching a show when he heard this. Hasn't he always been following behind Mr. Lu as a little tail? He and Fei Junren have never liked Ming Jiu because the other party is too ostentatious in the military academy. That's enough. You students should help each other. Teacher Yun's face was a little unhappy. You just stay here and don't run around. I will come back to pick you up soon. By the way, this is a communicator that can contact me and Teacher Yuan. If there is anything, use this to find me and Teacher Yuan. Remember not to act without authorization, and don't run around, understand? After saying this, he handed the communicator to Yunzao, and then hurried towards the elevator. At this time on the other side, number 8 took Kaioshishi and the others to hide in another place, but they had not yet walked out of the apartment building. He originally wanted to hide in the back mountain, but considering that there were still people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy, it meant that the seedling nursery masters would not come here to search for the time being, so it was safe for them to stay in this place. I have almost recovered. Zikingayu's face gradually became ruddy. What should we do next? Hearing this, number 8 first checked the location of number 6, and then looked at Mingayu who was sitting in the corner and asked, Ming classmate, we are going to steal the interstellar spaceship and escape. You can go and meet up with the teachers of the Imperial Capital Military Academy now. There is no need to hide with us at the risk of your life. Number 8 actually didn't quite understand why Mingayu stayed, and even followed them, a group of seedlings, to hide everywhere. The other party was obviously a student of the Imperial Capital Military Academy, and could leave the seedling nursery base openly. I just want to follow you. Mingayu didn't know how to answer for a while. Although he knew that number 8 and Lu Yan seemed to have temporarily formed an alliance, he didn't know whether he should tell the truth. What if number 8 didn't know Lu Yan's plan? Wouldn't it be very embarrassing for him to tell it now? And it might even cause trouble for the latter. Number 8 was about to ask Mingayu again when he heard Teacher Yun calling from outside. Ming, are you here? This off-campus activity has ended early, and we are about to leave Brickstar. Teacher Yun opened the door while calling, and he looked at every room to avoid missing the opportunity to find Mingayu. They originally gave each student a positioning badge, but for some reason, there was no bright spot belonging to Mingayu on the display screen, which made him even more nervous. Ming, I have an idea. I wonder if you are willing to cooperate. Seeing that the teacher outside was so anxious to find him, number 8 remembered the plan he had discussed with Wen Jiu before. He was indeed too naive and too idealistic. It was difficult to take all the seedlings away at once. Not to mention taking the seedlings in the base with them. Even some of the top 10 seedlings were brainwashed. When he dragged number 6 to inquire about the situation one by one last night, number 3, who had just been released from the small dark room, was very disapproving, and even threatened to go to the seedling nursery teacher to complain. So he realized that his idea was too naive, and now he just wanted to take number 6 and Wen Jiu's people and escape from the seedling nursery base as soon as possible. I can only try it first. Mingyu hesitated after listening, but they are teachers of the Imperial Capital Military Academy after all. They definitely don't want to cause trouble. It doesn't matter, even if it doesn't work, you can leave with Teacher Yun first. Stephanie was particularly considerate at this time. We wait for number 6 to steal the floating bubble summoner, and then we can go to the interstellar spaceship and escape directly. They originally planned to drive the spaceship and escape directly, and didn't expect the people of the Imperial Capital Military Academy to help them. If I have to say, it was only number 8 who had this idea, and the idea of Zikingayu and Kaioshishi had long been dispelled. Hearing this, Mingyu couldn't help but look at her with a ghostly look, then stood up, dusted off, and walked to the door of the room. Teacher Yun wandered around the apartment building for most of the day, and finally found someone at the door of a storage room. Ming, where have you been? He wiped the sweat off his face anxiously. This off-campus activity ended early due to force majeure. We are about to set off to return to the Imperial Capital Star. You know, if we accidentally leave you here, we can only wait until Brickstar opens the star track again before we can come back to pick you up. Teacher Yun started to talk to Mingyu as soon as he saw her, fearing that she would be gone if he wasn't paying attention. If Mingyu really got into trouble on Brickstar, he was afraid that he would be beaten up in public by the Ming family. Thinking of this situation, he quickly added, I've been to your room and Mr. Lu's room before. It seems that your luggage has been packed, right? Then let's go downstairs and join the main force. However, Mingayu stood at the door and hesitated. Teacher Yun, I have a few friends. Can they take a spaceship with me to leave here? Although he was a little arrogant in the Imperial Capital Military Academy, that was only in front of people he didn't like. He had a good impression of Teacher Yun, so he didn't want to put on airs in front of him. Hearing this, Teacher Yun's expression immediately became serious. Ming, I know you have a good relationship with the students in the seedling base, but they are from the 3rd military region after all. Don't do things you shouldn't do for them. I just want to invite them to my house. Ming Guy was really not good at lying, but he suddenly had an idea. Or can you help me contact my mother? Ask her to send a spaceship to pick me up. After the voice fell, the corners of Teacher Yun's mouth twitched. How dare he go to the head of the Ming family and say this? If he really told him this, he would probably only get a reply. My son just wants to bring back some friends, and your Imperial Capital Military Academy's spaceship still needs this position? So he thought for a moment before answering. Well, Ming, I understand that you are reluctant to leave your new friends. How about this? You take them to meet up with our team first, and I will go to discuss it with other teachers. Although he wanted to reject Ming Yu's request, he was afraid that the other party would run away after being rejected, so he could only temporarily agree and then make plans. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you, every little angel, for your support. 030. Chapter 623, Doris Star 1. Doris Star. The 8 starships of the 1st military region have all started combat mode, and the 3rd military region, which is in confrontation with them, is also ready for battle. The two sides are now at a stage of imminent conflict, but the 1st military region is waiting for news from the advanced troops, while the 3rd military region is waiting for reinforcement from the headquarters. Just as Wen Jiu was constantly confronting Fu Yizhi, a soldier suddenly walked in quickly. Report to Commander Zhang. The advanced troops have captured some personnel from the research institute and intercepted the information to be destroyed from them. After saying that, he did not rush to open the light curtain, but glanced at Wen Jiu, who was sitting in the command position. Seeing this, Zhang Qingyan cleared his throat and said, "It's okay, this is young Master Lu's friend, so there is nothing she can't see." After he finished speaking, he winked at Lu Yan, indicating that he would help the other party keep the secret. However, what he didn't expect was that Lu Yan actually nodded in response. Could it be that his previous conjecture was true? Then he could understand why the other party would bring a large group of people to clean up the 3rd military district. Okay, Commander Zhang. The soldier immediately opened his light screen panel and called out the information and data sent by the advance army. The screen first showed the report of the human experiment conducted by the research institute, followed by 2 experimental subjects that had not yet been destroyed, and the information of various seedlings and plants found by the advance army. These evidences were enough to send the 3rd military district to the federal court again, and it also meant that their 1st military district could finally launch an attack. So now there was no need for Lu Yan to take the initiative to speak. Zhang Qingyan knew what to do next. He straightened his military uniform and turned on the mental coverage, then walked in front of Wen Jiu and said in a gentle tone, "Miss, please come down from the command position." They were about to fight with the 3rd military district, so naturally they couldn't let the other side sit here and play. Hearing this, Wen Jiu jumped down very sensibly. "Is there anything I can do?" She asked Lu Yan this question because she had not participated in a formal battle yet and really didn't know what she would do next. "Just go and rest." Lu Yan couldn't bear to see her covered in wounds, so he was reluctant to arrange for her to participate in the next battle. However, Wen Jiu just shook his head and said, "I'm sure of my own situation. I can at least beat up another 50 soldiers." Except for the burns and gunshot wounds on her left arm, the other injuries were only superficial injuries. Moreover, she had been applying powder and bandaging, and was later treated by the medical soldier with supernatural powers, so it would not affect her continued combat. "No," Lu Yan shook his head firmly, "you need to rest." The spacecraft that followed the 1st military region had been transmitting images back, so he knew everything Wen Jiu did. The opponent not only used supernatural powers, but also consumed a lot of mental energy. No one could continue to fight under such circumstances. Although energy and mental strength can be replenished through various potions, the soldiers of the 1st military district are now enough to fight against the 3rd military district, so he never thought of letting Wen Jiu drink potions to replenish his persistence. Really not necessary. When Jiu didn't understand why this man was so stubborn, I must overthrow the 3rd military district with my own hands. Otherwise I can't relieve my hatred for them. In addition to her hatred for the 3rd military district, she also carried the sufferings that the original owner had suffered. So she must blow up the 3rd military district with her own hands and find those who had abused the original owner in the past, so that she can relieve the heavy resentment in her body. Hearing this, Lu Yan just looked at her meaningfully. Okay, can you drive a mecha? Of course, I can drive a mecha, you can rest assured. When Jiu patted his chest as he spoke, after the words fell, the other party took out the mecha starter from the storage ring and threw it to her. This mecha is a light mecha, you don't need to go deep into the attack, just do your best on the periphery. After Lu Yan finished speaking, he walked to the deputy position of the command position. To show respect, he did not let Zhang Qingyuan give up the main seat, but sat in the deputy seat to carry out the mental coverage. On the other side, what? The people of the 1st military region intercepted the evacuation of the institute? Major Yi had just finished handing over to Fu Yizhi when he received an urgent message from the headquarters. Yes. The scout responsible for collecting information couldn't help but lower his head in shame. Although this matter had nothing to do with him, it was their job to scout the situation and collect information. There was such a big mistake on the side of the institute, which meant that the scouts of the headquarters and the institute had failed to do their job. So as a scout, he was quite ashamed. Damn it, are you scouts eating for free? Fu Yizhi was furious when he heard the news. No wonder the soldiers of the 1st military region dared to be presumptuous here. It turned out that they arranged other soldiers to sneak attack the institute so as to find a suitable reason to attack them. He thought that he only needed to defend the brilliant port, but he didn't expect that the 1st military region had already stolen their home. Now, the people of the 1st military region have a legitimate reason, and they will definitely use it to launch an attack. Okay, let's fight now that things have come to this. Major Yi quickly regained his composure. The people from the 1st military district were originally coming for us, and they will attack regardless of whether they have a reason or not. The headquarters and the research institute have made such a big mistake, so there is someone to take responsibility for it. So you don't need to get angry here because of their negligence. What we have to do now is to repel the people from the 1st military district. Even if the people from the 1st military district intercepted the evacuation of the research institute, they have closed all the star tracks leading to the outside world and modified the available space jump points. In other words, the 1st military district will have no reinforcement in the next battle. Doris is the headquarters planet of their 3rd military district, and they have far more available reserve troops than the 1st military district, so the number of people alone is enough to crush the 1st military district. It's just that wars between military districts have never been a matter of numbers, and he doesn't want to get to the point of fighting by piling up lives. Otherwise, even if he wins, he can't accept this result. So Major Yi gathered his thoughts and returned to his command position. I will be the commander-in-chief of the next operation. Commander Fu, do you have any objection to temporarily serving as deputy commander? Of course it's possible. Fu Yizhi's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. Then I'll trouble you, Major Yi. Although he was very dissatisfied with this arrangement, Major Yi's rank was higher than his, so he couldn't raise any objections, even if he had any. Okay, all soldiers enter the mecha now. Major Yi saw that he had no objection and turned on the mental coverage. The interstellar spacecraft will turn on the protection mode and wait for my command. The war was about to break out. Today's 3rd update has also been delivered. Thank you again for the support of the little angels. 030. Chapter 624. Still Brickstar 1. Ming, when will your friend come? We have to leave in half an hour. Teacher Yuan pinched his eyebrows with great worry. He had heard Lu Yan say that he would take a few people away, so after Ming Yu brought these people to join him, he agreed to take them away against all odds. However, they had already wasted too much time on Brickstar. If they didn't leave and wait for the war report from the front line, they might be trapped in this place by the people from the seedling base. After all, it was no small matter for 2 military regions to go to war. It would be bad if they were left as hostages. Although he didn't agree with Lu Yan's sudden plan, the matter was done. Even if he was unwilling, he had to cooperate with the other party. Teacher Yuan, just wait for me for another 10 minutes. Mingyu didn't know when number 6 would come, so he had to frantically find reasons to continue to delay their departure. Seeing this, number 8 also anxiously checked the locator. This was a simple locator made by him using limited materials, which meant that apart from being able to see the location of number 6, it had no other functions. So he didn't know what happened to number 6, why he was so late than the scheduled rendezvous time. Hey, it's moving. Kyoshi, who was standing next to him, glanced at the locator. Is this the little light dot representing number 6? He seems to be moving towards us at full speed. Although they couldn't communicate with number 6, number 8 left a lot of marks on the road, and only he and number 6 could understand them, so there was no need to worry that the other party would not be able to find the place. Well, it seems that number 6 found the marks I left. The stone hanging in No 8's heart finally fell to the ground. Hearing this, Stephanie jumped and ran towards Mingyu. Little bean sprouts or little flames will be here soon, really? That's great. After hearing this, the other party couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. When he comes, we can board the ship, and then I will invite you to my house to play. Although he said before that bringing people home as guests was just a cover, they must be returning directly to the Imperial Capital Star, and they will not turn around and send those seedlings home on the way. So after preparing himself mentally for a while, Mingyu planned to take these poor young seedlings to his home before Lu Yan returned victorious. He didn't know what happened to the students in Miomio class before, and he thought that these people were students like him. He didn't expect that they were all kidnapped. If Lu Yan hadn't found the truth and told him, he really couldn't see anything unusual here. It was also because this truth made him very uncomfortable that he agreed to help these young seedlings. TSK, Master Ming is really worthy of his reputation. Let all of us wait for someone with you. It's really a living sign of the Ming family's wanton behavior. Fei Junren saw that Mingyu got along very well with the students in Miomio class, and he didn't like the other party's existence before, so he couldn't help but speak in a sarcastic tone. The Fei family was not much worse than the Ming family. It was just that the Fei family experienced a split many years ago, and the latter rose rapidly after being taken over by Ming Wanrao, and now it has become a well-known big family. So in the end, he has always been dissatisfied with Mingyu. He thinks that the other party is praised by everyone only because of the Ming family, but he has never thought that he is also a person who relies on family power. After Fei Junren's voice fell, those students who were originally dissatisfied immediately exploded and made a fuss. Although they have always been afraid of Lu Yan, it does not mean that they are also afraid of Mingyu. After all, the former is famous in the Imperial Capital Military Academy for his strength, and the latter is just a person who also relies on his family. Teacher Yuan, why should we stay here and wait for the students of Miomio class? When all our people in the Imperial Capital Military Academy are gathered, we will take off and set off quickly. Young Xiao has always been a person who likes to watch the fun and not mind the trouble. He and Fei Junren are friends who grew up together, so he is naturally the first to stand up and support each other. As soon as he finished speaking, several classmates who had a good relationship with them on weekdays also followed suit. Teacher Yuan, Teacher Yun, why do we have to carry outsiders on our Imperial Capital Military Academy's spacecraft? Those students in the Miomio class haven't paid tuition to the school. That's right, how can there be people who want to take advantage of the free ride these days? By the way, what are the people from the 3rd Military District going to do on the Imperial Capital Star? Brother G, you are asking what the people from the 3rd Military District want to do. Isn't it clear to everyone? Teacher Yuan, Teacher Yun, are you really confident in taking these people back to the Imperial Capital Star? The conflict between the 3rd Military District and the 1st Military District is well known to everyone, and the residents of the Imperial Capital Star do not welcome the latter to come. Moreover, if people from the 3rd Military District want to enter the Imperial Capital Star, they have to go to the Federal Tourism Bureau to apply for a special visa. In addition to these students who echoed Fei Junren's noise, there were some more rational students who spoke up to persuade him. Can you guys stop making trouble? Mingyu has already informed the teachers And the school didn't say that the spacecraft can't carry outsiders. Yeah, it's okay for classmate Ming to bring a few friends back. Anyway, our interstellar spacecraft still has a lot of empty seats. Since you're talking about this, then classmate Ming, don't forget to take them to apply for visas after you go back, otherwise it will be considered illegal entry. Seeing that the students were about to quarrel, Teacher Yuan immediately took out a long whip from the storage ring and whipped it hard on the ground, making a loud whip sound. After several whips, everyone suddenly quieted down. Seeing this, Teacher Yun couldn't help but sigh and said, classmate Ming's request was unanimously approved by the teachers. After I go back, I will take these students to apply for visas. Let's stop arguing about this matter. You guys go on board the ship first and sit down according to the seats you came in. The teachers will wait with Ming for another 20 minutes. He thought at first that Teacher Yuan would refuse this request, but he didn't expect that the other party said that Lu Yan had reminded him of this matter before. In this case, which teacher would dare to say no? Not to mention that most of the teachers accompanying this time were either temporarily appointed from the 1st Military Region or were soldiers in disguise. And everyone knew that this was probably a mission necessity, so no one dared to speak out against Mingayu's request. Not long after Teacher Yun finished speaking, suddenly two people were seen running over not far away. It's number 6. Stephanie recognized the person at a glance. Oh, he didn't forget to bring number 1 over. Hearing this, number 8 looked over in surprise. It's really how he brought number 1 here. They originally wanted to talk to number 1 and persuade him to leave the base with them. However, before they even got outside no one's residence, they heard a broadcast about the escape of young seedling, so they had to leave number 1 behind and find a place to hide. The first update of the day has been delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030 whispering. As you can see, I'm a bad namer _ Chapter 625. Still Brickstar 2. Number 6 dragged Chu Jian to the spaceship, and then number 8 and others noticed the scars on his body. Little Flame, you had a fight with number 1, Stephanie said with a hint of ridicule. No wonder you brought him to us. It was seen that both number 6 and Chu Jian were injured, but the former's injuries were not as obvious as the latter's. It can be seen that number 6 actually subdued Chu Jian by fighting, which surprised Stephanie and number 8. After all, the order of the seedlings is arranged according to their strength. Number 6 had previously challenged the seedlings in front, but he had never been able to successfully defeat others. Brother Henry, Zikingayu, who was jealous silently at the side, walked up happily when he saw Chu Jian. Is your brain okay? He had heard Wen Jiu say that Chu Jian's brain was wrong before, which scared him at the time. Now that he saw that the other party seemed to be safe and sound, he finally felt relieved. After all, Chu Jian had protected him twice, so he was always concerned about him. I have never had any problems with my brain, thank you. Chu Jian couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he heard this. If you have anything to say, wait until we get out. Number 6 told me a lot on the way. He was still in a trance stage of memory recall, and for a while he couldn't receive more information. Hearing this, number 8 first went to check on No 6's injuries, and then found Mingyu to tell him that they could set off. Since you are all here, come with me to the spaceship first. Teacher Yun silently counted the number of people in Miomio's class in his mind. You 6 will sit in the main cabin with Mingyu later. Although the star track of Brickstar has been opened, they can directly start the interstellar spaceship and leave. But no one can guarantee that the people in the seedling base will not conduct inspections, so in order to prevent such a situation, he can only let the people in Miomio's class and Mingyu stay in the main cabin. Generally, the main cabin will not be checked during the inspection. However, the student closest to him shook his head and said, Teacher Yun, then we'd better obey your order. But number 8 knew that there was a surveillance camera of the nursery base nearby, so he approached Teacher Yun and deliberately lowered his voice. After he finished speaking, the other party immediately pretended that nothing had happened and took them aboard the interstellar spaceship. At this time, on the other side, Star-Lord, the people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy have boarded the spaceship. The nursery teacher in charge of collecting information was reporting Do we need to close a star track to search them? There is only one port on Brick Star, which means that there is only one star track leading to the outside world. If it is closed, it will be impossible to leave here. Don't worry, wait for the notice from the headquarters. Liang Yi looked at the screen with a sinister look. After all, they have a communicator in their hands. If we close the star track in advance, we will not be able to take the blame at that time. Although he has always been indifferent to whether he is right or wrong, the 3rd military region suffered a loss a few years ago, so this time he naturally has to do his job well. As long as the headquarters has not started a war with the 1st military region, their nursery base cannot detain people. By the way, what's the situation with plant number 3? Liang Yi took a puff of the electronic cigarette in his hand. Didn't that person confuse his memory? How could he be willing to leave with number 6? After saying that, he stomped on the woman who fell to the ground a few times. The woman was wearing a light and transparent gauze, and there were purple bruises all over her body. She fell to the ground dying and couldn't move. She could only let Liang Yi step on her as a footpad. I don't know much about it. The nursery technician in charge of reporting took a few steps back. We see that there seems to be nothing abnormal in the image, but plant number 3 suddenly woke up. They knew that number 6 went to steal the floating bubble summoner, and they also saw him sneak into number 1's residence and fight with number 1. But all the nursery technicians and masters didn't think about why number 1 and number 6 stopped fighting. They have played back the video footage dozens of times, but they couldn't find the real reason. A bunch of trash. Liang Yi threw the electronic cigarette in his hand viciously and kicked the dying woman a few times. He had experienced more setbacks today than in his first half of life. First, he was punished by the true god for no apparent reason, and then the crystal ball carrying the true god soul was destroyed due to negligence. Then the headquarters received news that the number 9 seedling had wreaked havoc in the brilliant port, and then the 1st military region found evidence of human experiments and was about to start a war. All of these things happened one by one, all because of his carelessness and contempt. If he hadn't relaxed his vigilance against the number 9 seedling, how could he have arranged an ordinary team to escort it and to the brilliant port with medium defense? The more Liang Yi thought about these things, the angrier he got. When he was about to find someone to vent his anger on, he suddenly heard the seedling teacher say happily, "Star-Lord, the headquarters asked us to close a star track immediately and detain the people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy." Hearing this, he revealed a hideous smile. "Really? Then quickly ask the tower to close a star track, and you arrange a few more teams to detain people. Also, let my babies out to play." It seems that the 1st military district finally launched an attack on the 3rd military district, so don't blame them for using tricks to force the students of the Imperial Capital Military Academy to stay. After all, most of these students are from famous families, and there will always be someone willing to come forward to persuade the 1st military district to come to rescue people. Teacher Yun, why hasn't our interstellar spaceship taken off yet? And when will our wisdom ring be issued? Yes, we have been sitting here for more than 10 minutes and haven't taken off yet. Could it be that the base doesn't allow us to take the people from the Miomilo class? Fei Junren and Young Xiao were already dissatisfied with Mingyu's behavior. Now that they have been in the spaceship for nearly 20 minutes and haven't taken off yet, they couldn't help but get angry. Hearing this, Teacher Yun remembered the distribution of the wisdom rings. He first arranged for other teachers to help distribute the wisdom rings, and then he comforted them in a gentle tone. "It's almost done. The pilot is still confirming the star track. Remember to check if the wisdom rings are yours after you get them. There are things on Brick that interfere with the transmission signals of the wisdom rings, so you can't use these wisdom rings for the time being. You have to wait until you leave before you can use them, understand?" He had just finished speaking when he saw Teacher Yuan hurriedly walk into the passenger cabin, and the other person's face was now wearing a serious expression. Seeing this, he hurried over and asked, "What's wrong? Did they shut down the star track?" "Yes, and it's worse than we expected," Teacher Yuan said as he walked to the front. "You comfort these students first. I will have someone turn on the protection here, and all actions must be arranged by me." After speaking, he glanced at these students who were still in a daze, and then opened the door to the storage cabin. In addition to various daily necessities, the storage cabin also contained various weapons they had stolen. Today's second update is also delivered on time. Thank you to every little angel for your support and company. 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.